Michael, I had something for this. But you know, like as soon as I hit the record button, it was gone. It just flew out of my head. The Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, and they also killed the intro.
They did.
To the fucking RageSelect podcast right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff,
and I'm Mike.
And yeah, we've got a really weird week. There's a lot of shit going on this week.
There is, surprisingly.
So I don't know how much we're gonna get to. But before we get to any of that, I don't know, man. It's just like we're like really holding down the gas button. Like, so here's the thing. Normally, before we start this, we talk about like the stuff that we watched last week, and it's not that I didn't watch anything. It's just that everything I watched, I feel like it doesn't fit the tone of the podcast. I watched Infinity Pool last week. Oh yeah,
that's right. You're telling me about that.
And it was just weird as fuck, and Brandon Cronenberg AF, and it's like, okay, cool. And then I watched Fleischman is in Trouble, which is like all about 45-year-old rich people in New York.
A lot of weird shit this last weekend.
Getting divorced. And then I was like, what's on VOD this week? And it was like, oh, well, there's The Whale. And I'm like, you're not helping me. I need something with ninjas and explosions to put in the fucking thumbnail.
Did you watch The Whale?
No, I did not watch The Whale.
I thought that would be funny if you did.
There's also some other movie that I heard about. There, it's like 10 women in like a religious commune discussing whether they should leave or not because there's a bunch of like horrible bullshit going on, and I'm just like,
is it The Village? I'm just kidding.
No, but then I think that M. Night Shyamalan, the one with Dave Bautista's out.
Nick knocked at the cabin.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll watch that. I mean, like, I feel like I could talk about all the animes that I'm continuing to watch, but like, you guys all know. You know what? No. You know what? You know what? No. You know what? No. I got it.
What just happened?
I figured it out. I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but I've never really given my full uninhibited endorsement to the show Blue Lock. And Blue Lock is now like the #2 anime that I watch every week after My Hero Academia, which is rad, and everybody should obviously be watching, and I've talked about that enough times.
What's Blue Lock?
Blue Lock is like Squid Game meets soccer. It's another soccer thing.
This, yeah.
Yes, I've talked about it before, but I really just like, I keep watching it. I'm just like, fuck, is this a good show that I love? So like, the premise of the show is so weird. It's like Japan has never won the World Cup. And the reason why is because the Japanese don't like. This is the premise of the show. I'm not saying this. Like it's like Japanese people are too considerate. They're too helpful.
They're very polite.
And what you need to win in soccer is you need rampant, egotistical asshole strikers. And the problem with Japan is that everybody keeps working together, pat each other on the back. When you lose, it's no big deal. Life goes on. And so this guy makes this like this big fucked up training center. He brings in like 100 soccer hopefuls and puts them in there and starts making them play crazy soccer with each other. Like the very first day, they're just like, oh, we're gonna do this thing where like I throw the ball in and the first person that touches the ball is it, and then you gotta like hit other people with the ball in order to move the, it's like tag, right? Yeah. But the person who loses is out, and their soccer career is over, and you fucking never play soccer again. And so then from there, it just starts into these like team battles of soccer where the ultimate failure is just like, you never get to play soccer again. And the main character is like this, he's the weird anime main character. But all the best players have like this weird psycho soccer disease because they're looking for like the biggest assholes.
Okay.
So like the main character is just trying to be like the world's biggest soccer asshole. And he's constantly learning from all the other assholes around him how to be like a better and stronger asshole in the game of soccer. And it's really, really good. And it's very like last season I watched Aoishi, and that was like a good show. That was like, here's a hopeful guy that's going to the soccer academy. He's trying to learn from the best. He's doing the thing. This is like everybody wears jumpsuits. You don't leave the fucking facility. Like there's holographic goalies, and like there's a guy that's like L from Death Note that's like overseeing the whole thing, like from the control room, who never blinks. And his name is Ego. He's got his eyes are like fucking crazy open. No, it is great. It is wonderful. I'm super into soccer anime now. Please do not recommend any other sports animes to me because I'm only into soccer anime and other stuff. So yeah, there you go. Infinity Pool is confusing. Fleischman is in Trouble will make you... God, I can't imagine being married and watching that show or living in New York and watching that show. But like, it was a good show. It was just like... what are you going to say about 45-year-olds having midlife crises and their marriages dissolving in the ultra upper crust wealthy parts of New York City? Like,
Not a lot to say about it.
yeah, it was interesting, but it wasn't exactly what I would call relatable. How about you, Michael? Have you played anything, seen anything, done anything interesting over the last week?
I started The Last of Us, the TV show.
The HBO show.
Yeah. And I've also started the remake at the same time.
Oh, you play the game?
Yeah, I'm playing the game. My boss gave me this idea to because originally I was just going to play through originally I felt like just playing through the game itself and then maybe watching the show. But my boss was just, this is what he's doing. He's like, here's what you should do. Just play the game up until whatever episode you're going to watch.
Okay.
And then just watch that episode right after and then just see the differences between the two.
Okay.
And then just keep going. And it's actually kind of fun to do. And I've because I did that on accident the first time because I started playing the remake first. And then I decided to stop just because I got stuck somewhere. And then I was like, I'm just going to start the show. And then I ended up only having enough time to watch where I was at in the game anyways.
Oh, okay.
And so when I got back the next day from what I ended up doing, I just started playing it again.
Okay.
And now I'm at the point where I probably could just watch the next one and then so forth and so forth. Because the show's is the same but also a lot different at the same time because events play out differently and character relationships are more defined.
You tell me they don't just put the camera right behind Pedro Pascal and then they have him like crawl into a room and like get a bunch of bottles and cans and stuff and then like throw one at a guy's head and like stab somebody with scissors.
A brick at anybody
He hasn't
yet.
thrown any bricks
So far.
Fuck that show.
But I'm only on like
it.
episode 3, so I don't know.
I'm not watching it. I got to get confirmation there's some brick throwing in that thing before I'm going to watch it.
I'm sure there will be eventually. But no, yeah, the show is like, it's fascinating to watch because it's all still done by Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
Like, at least for a lot of the writing stuff, he still sat down and was like, here are the changes I want to make. Here are the things I'm going to keep. And it psychs you out in specific ways if you played the game, which I thought was fun. Because you're expecting like certain things to play out in certain ways, but it just doesn't end up happening that way.
Okay.
Which I thought, like the best example I can give is in the very first chunk of the game is the part where you're in the car with Tommy.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from everybody.
What is it, in like Houston instead of Austin? Oh, my God, you guys.
No, it's still in Austin, but you remember the reason the truck gets flipped over is because they get hit by another truck.
Right.
Well, the show, they're about to, but then the car stops like just before it hits them.
Oh.
So you're just like, oh shit, like I guess and then something else entirely happens that causes the truck to like.
So something that wouldn't be noticeable to somebody that hadn't played the game, but somebody who had played the game, they'd just be like,
like it was the most surprising thing to me on that part because everything else still plays out the same for the most part.
Okay.
So you're still just like, it's sad that they died. That person died. Can move on. I don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I maintain the same thing that I have before. I'm sure it's a perfectly good show. Like I've heard nothing but good stuff about
great.
it. But like I know what happens in that story, and the more times that I've been told that The Last of Us is like really, 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 really good, and like you should definitely bow down and prostrate yourself before Neil Druckmann and lick his shoes and tell him how much of a special boy with a huge dick he is, I'm like, that's fine. You guys can have it. That's fine. I just don't want anything to do with this anymore because it's just not. I never was as into it as everyone else was, and then the more it gets repeated, the more it's just like.
I recommend so far at least just episode 3 because it's the only part that isn't like that's not super 1-to-1.
Yeah,
because it's like completely different and it's it's almost just its own story.
Okay,
that's just like in the middle of it all. And I thought that part like was really worth at least watching at least that one thing.
Okay,
but that's just me.
Cool. But you have enjoyed the show.
I've enjoyed it so far.
For people who are dead inside like me, like
I've enjoyed it a lot, and I've been meaning to get back into it. I think they're only on 6 by now, but it's going to be a fairly short season from what I hear.
That's why I write on my door is don't open Dead Inside. And then people are like, hey, it's Jeff. Oh, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, but they're like, don't Dead Inside what?
That's true. I drew one of those weird X's on the door, and it's got like a number, and then there's like some hieroglyphics over here, and then like a J, and people... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
Have you seen that thing where you draw it? It's like, I don't know. some kind of triage thing. Anyway, speaking of triage, we gotta get to.
It's not one of those S's where they just draw it. You know what I mean?
Oh, with the 3. yeah. Just draw that on the doors. That's how you know there's a zombie inside. If somebody drew one of those S's, or like a Kilroy, with a little nose and everything.
Kilroy with an S on it.
Yeah. Okay, so we had, speaking of things that are dead inside, we had a state of play.
He's not wrong.
The first state of play of 2023, and yeesh.
Guys, the fact that we had both a Nintendo Direct and an Xbox developer thing that both had some pretty high moments in it, this was sad.
Well, a lot of it is just that I think that so I'm going to come back to this, but I want to just put this down as a concept. I think right now Sony is in a kind of a weird position where there's a lot of things that are happening that were started long enough ago that they seemed like a good idea, but aren't necessarily a good idea right now. Like, a lot of this is the PSVR 2, right? There's a lot. I mean, like, I wouldn't have, when they started development on the PSVR 2, it was like, oh, that seems like a good idea. But now we're living in a world where, you know, it's like inflation and people don't have a lot of money to spend. They're just like, hey, do you want to spend as much as a PlayStation 5 plus $50 for this thing that has like a handful of games? And everybody's like, not now.
Yeah.
Like, if I would just cash a $2,000 check from the government, that I might buy a PSVR 2 for funzos, but like, not now. I got like shit to deal with.
I thought you were going to say the concept of the state of play is that they need to prove to the FTC they're not as big as Microsoft says they are.
Oh, God.
So they can stop the sale.
The thing is that I never thought I would say this, but like, I can't wait to get through this PlayStation state of play to start talking about the Microsoft Activision deal, because there's some shit this week.
There's a lot of shit. This is kind of fun, actually.
Anyway, let's roll, baby. So the first thing, as mentioned, we started with a bunch of VR games. The Foglands.
That's actually the most interesting of the ones they showed.
I know I just said that we got to get rolling, baby, but like, I gotta back it on up here for a second. We're gonna back everybody. Just take a few steps back with me, Michael. Does somebody need to explain to game developers that you can do things in VR that are not just first-person games? Like, you can use VR, you can like make a game. You know, there's been some like tactical games where you're like looking down on a table, or like you could do something that had a third person and you're just like a camera flood. Like, if it's not first person, it's still immersive because you've got the 360-degree kind of VR thing. But like, I watched this, and every one of these is just some kind of first person, and here's your hands, and you're catching guns or catching knives, or you're high five in a window or something. Like,
well, everything needs to be as if you're there, Jeff.
Right.
People need to know that they're a white dude with the gun.
Right, but like, when we play video games, we've got video games where you're side-scrolling video games, and third-person video games, and top-down video. Like, they're not all first-person shooters. Whereas like, every single fucking VR game these days seems like it's some kind of first-person thing.
It's the easiest thing to develop. It's just like, point it here and then fire, and that's kind of it, I think, is what's going on with the VR stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, this game is it's like some kind of Western roguelike, it looks like. It was a little bit unclear. There's like the devil, he's got some cards, and then there's like monsters, and you're shooting at them, and you're throwing torches, and I mean, it's got a kind of a cool art style, but I don't know, man. I feel like 80% of VR games are just this game with a different skin over the top of it.
No, I get it. Yeah, because I think what this game might be trying to like convey is that maybe every time you die, he throws down 3 more cards that maybe change something about the environment.
Yeah, like
that's what I was getting from
or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I got from it, at least. But like, again, it's still a shooter at the end of the day, but it's the most interesting of the shooters they showed off.
It's got a nice distinct art style to it. It's got a kind of a half cartoony, almost like Dishonored, but with a little bit more dirt on it, you know, some kind of minor cell shading, and like, yeah, it doesn't look fine. It's just, you know, like if every single game that had come out for 6 months had been an RTS and they were like, here's a brand new RTS that looks great, I'd be like, okay, huzzah. That's the Foglands. We're gonna zip through some of these. Oh God,
They
Green
zip
Hell.
through it just as fast as everybody else, though.
Green Hell. I keep getting emails from the PR team for this game trying to get me interested in Green Hell, and I do not give two shits about Green Hell.
It was like the worst looking game that they showed off for that the most amount of footage.
It's just kind of it's some sort of survival game, and I don't care. Also, wasn't there an Eli Roth movie with that name? Wasn't there a it's like a Cannibal
Green
Holocaust?
Inferno, I think.
Green Inferno. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this I don't like this game.
It doesn't look very good.
I've never liked any part of this game, and doing all those, like, they showed parts where it's like, oh, you're like wrapping a bandage around one of your arms by doing that motion with the VR controller, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to hold down the square button to wrap the thing around my arm. I don't want to have to like put an axe together by shoving a stone in a stick. Like, ugh.
That's how you get immersed, Jeff.
Yeah.
You gotta jack off in VR now.
I forgot what the name of this one is.
I don't even remember either.
It's by the people that made like there's
They're very proud of the fact that you can put a magazine in your gun, though.
yeah, the Far Cry VR.
Oh, Synapse.
Synapse. Yes. Phantom Covert Ops, I think, is also good. I think that's the one where you play as like the robots.
I have no idea.
That's like kind of a stealth game. And this is like very monochromatic, but then like there are these big splashes of color. So it's like a shooter where you've got big splashes of color. And then in between, everything else is black and white, and like that's all great, but all of the combat is just the exact same. I'm holding a gun in one hand and shooting a bunch of guys. I mean, there's like some kind of powers mechanic.
Yeah,
but
that was the only interesting thing going on with it, was that you could like lift people, make boxes get thrown at people,
yeah,
barrels thrown at people, but it's only like so interesting. Like it's a fun idea for like maybe a second, but then once the novelty of it wears off, it's probably not as exciting as it.
Yeah,
because it all depends on how reactive it is as well.
Yeah,
because I've played games where it's like, look at this cool new feature, and then you're like hitting the button and pushing your hand up, and it's just not fucking reacting to you.
Right.
It's like a power glove, basically.
Yeah,
that's what worries me. I know that's probably not the case, but like it all depends on how well that works.
Definitely. I don't know. I mean, like, give me Pistol Whip any day over this
amazing.
shit.
Oh my God.
Like, or Beat Saber. Okay, and then I don't fucking understand. I don't understand who greenlit this. I don't understand why they would make this. I don't understand how the fuck anybody said that this was a good idea. I know there was a show on Apple TV, but they're making a Foundation Prologue VR game that looks like it kind of looks like Outer Worlds,
I can see
right?
that.
Like the kind of like the characters are stylized and they've got this kind of weird thing. But like, do you know what the Foundation is about, Michael?
I don't.
It's like a sci-fi book that's based on like the idea that there's this great space empire, and then it got so technologically good that this scientist like created a math problem that basically mapped out the entire future of mankind and showed that in like X number of years the empire was going to crumble, and then he started taking steps to like create like enclaves that could survive the oncoming apocalypse, and then like as things went on, he created all these different things that could react to stuff, and it's like the last thing in the world where you would be in VR with a fucking pistol shooting guys with a laser, and it's just like, what are you talking about? That's
what cracked me up the most, just like experience Isaac Asimov like never before as a shooter. It's
right.
Like, what the fuck?
It would be like, I mean, it'd be like if they made an iRobot game and like the whole thing was just you shooting robots in VR, and it's like, well, wait, that's not what that is.
It's the same with like, if you made a Blade Runner game and that's all it was. You're
right.
Like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, like this is the one that confuses me the most, because at least with other things, those are original properties, whereas this is like Isaac Asimov's Foundation, the Fallout game. I don't.
Yeah, it's weird. Every time I saw more of it, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing here?
It's very weird. It's very strange. Oh god, get out of here, chat replay. I don't care about you. Now, okay, this one makes a certain amount of sense.
This one is the most interesting thing of the entire VR part.
Amanda and I played this game all the way through.
Really?
Mm-hmm. This is, I forgot what this is called. It's like Before Your Eyes, I believe.
That sounds right.
Let's see. Yeah, Before Your Eyes. So the gimmick with this game was already out on the PC. And the thing with the PC is that the PC would use your webcam to look at you.
Oh, okay.
And the big thing was they were basically telling you the story of a character's life, but then every time that you blinked, it would like jump forward in time.
Like Click.
Kind of, yeah. Except that it was interesting.
Sorry, I just like making references to Click.
It was interesting because like there were times where I really wanted to see what happened, and I was trying to like keep my eyes open. But like the longer you try to keep your eyes open, the more you feel them start to dry out, and then it's like boop, you're done. But we have a story later that talks about this too. But the PSVR, because it's looking at your eyes to track that thing where it only renders where you're looking, it could tell when you blink, and so it's built into the headset. And this was a first-person game on the PC where you were just kind of looking around and interacting. It's like a little adventure. The only thing that's interesting about this is that game was like 90 minutes long or something. Like, it was not a incredibly long. It might have been 2 hours. It might have been Man and I did one, and then we finished it in a Patreon or something. But it wasn't a big game, and it's definitely not taxing graphically. It's got a very kind of simple and basic story.
I hope it doesn't cost a lot then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think it would. But you know, that's a good one, and I'm glad that people with the VR, this is a good one for people to experience. Let's see. From there, we got, boy, they really just genetically calculated the things that Michael and Jeff don't care that much about.
They really did.
So we got a trailer for the new expansion for Destiny, which is the Lightfall. Here's the thing: Destiny to me now has become a lot like Call of Duty. Where like, I love this trailer. Like, this trailer looks exciting as shit.
Oh, every time they show off like a new trailer for Destiny, you're like, what is this? And then you see a Guardian or something, you're like, fuck, it's Destiny.
And you see Lance Reddick, his blue hat, and you're just like, oh, god damn it. But yeah, I like every part of what I'm seeing here. I even like this. I think this guy is one of the new antagonists with his like weird Frankenstein helmet. Iron Head. He looks dumb as shit, and I love it. Like,
yeah, like I think the idea is he's like a normal dude who's just cybernetic. Because the thing about hunters is that they die and they always come back to life.
Sure.
Because he has a great line. He's like, "We don't all have just like unlimited lives, basically."
Right.
And I think that's like the coolest thing Destiny has ever done.
Yep.
Is he be like, "Hey, this guy over here, he's the one dude who's not fucking immortal."
I like it where that your little drone guy gets shredded.
The ghost,
like your ghost gets shredded. I'm like, yeah, I like that part. I like the look at this guy with the smoke coming out of his head. I like the big triangles coming out of space. I like all the stuff I'm seeing in here. I have absolutely no interest in playing this game because then you have to play Destiny. So
but that's the thing. I wish Destiny was just a straightforward shooting like story game.
Yeah.
Because every time they come out with something new story related, I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then you have to be like light level fucking 1,000 to finish whatever the expansion is.
No, Michael, if you buy the expansion, you get that upgrade material that just puts you at the highest level, regardless of whether that's a good idea or not.
I never finished, I think it was the Taken King, because I wasn't a high enough level to finish the last level.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this.
But yeah, great trailer. Never gonna play it.
Yeah, it's a great trailer.
Never
and
gonna
I'm sure
play
you
it.
Destiny guys are super excited, but boy howdy do I not give a fuck.
Reminds me of actually, wait, hold on. What's next? Oh yeah, this one.
I don't know how to say it.
Chana?
Chia? Mario?
Chia?
Zelda thing?
God, they don't even have the name on here. Wait, what the fuck is it?
They say it a bunch of times.
Chia. There it is.
Chia?
Yeah. No, it's the T is silent, so it's just Chia.
Yeah, but I like saying Tachia.
No. You remember, they don't actually, it's weird because they don't show it in this trailer. We've seen this a bunch of times before. This is the one where the little girl does Mario Odyssey, and she jumps into like the fishes. And,
that's why I said Zelda Mario, because she also has the jumping off and like gliding thing.
Oh yeah, climbing
that Zelda
and stuff.
does. Or that Link does.
I think the game looks fine. It's just they already sold it to me a long time ago. So
it looks fine, but the problem is the more I look at it, the more it's like, this still doesn't feel like it's that impressive to look at.
Yeah.
But it's clear that it's more of an indie game than anything else. So
true.
For what it is, I think it looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that alone should let people at least play it.
Yeah.
And it's
also,
supposed to be on the
PS Plus.
Yeah, the extra and premium version.
Yeah.
So not the essential one.
Yes.
Which I'm sure it'll eventually end up on the essential one, but who knows?
Which they actually use that as an opportunity to be like, and here's what else is on the PlayStation. Here's the March games: Battlefield 2042, Code Vein, and Minecraft Dungeons. And it was like, oh boy, what a fucking yawn fest.
Yeah, what an exciting time.
And then they were like, oh, but also don't hold on, Michael, because you also get Rainbow Six Extraction. And then some actual good games. Immortals Phoenix Rising, incredibly underrated. Go play that game.
Yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo, and the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. I think a lot of people played Uncharted 4, but I don't know how many people played the Chloe and Nadia spin-off game.
Yeah, most people didn't. In fact, I don't remember if I did or not.
And it was great.
That was fantastic.
I really liked it. So Go download that when it becomes available. Oh right.
Oh yeah, Humanity Lemmings.
Holy shit. Yeah. What was this? This was from like the people that brought you like the other stuff they made was very weird.
It was also
like,
very specific.
Like puzzle games?
Yeah, I can't remember what they were. It shows it in the trailer.
Yeah.
At one point, but Humanity is a very fascinating one because it's like you're some person reincarnated as a
light
glowing dog,
light
who's like
dog
hurting people into different areas.
Oh, holy
like,
shit! It's got a demo out today. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it mentions it at the end of the trailer. But it looks fascinating because it's just like it's basically Lemmings but with like humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it also kind of reminds me of is what was that game that was called like Everything or whatever, where it was like I know what you're talking about. The guys like nobody walked, they just went in a barrel roll.
Yeah, it was like an evolution thing.
But then you could like go down and you could keep like you could go down into like the grass, and you could go from the grass into like the chlorophyll, then you go from the chlorophyll into like the atoms, and then when you got all the way down to the bottom to the neutrinos and you went in there, then you would go to a universe, and then you go back down from a universe to a star system to a planet to like a city to like a person.
I remember that game, yeah, because it was like remember people laughing at the way like the sheep would move.
Yep.
And it was just really funny.
the Rez and the Tetris experience.
That's right, the Tetris thing, yeah.
So yeah, this very much reminds me a little bit of Intelligent Cube.
I can see that, yeah.
That other game where you're like you're guiding these big masses. And the thing is, though, Michael, at the beginning, I was somewhat interested. But it was a lot of puzzle games. You're moving around like big gold guys. But then at some point, all the bad guys there were bad guys. First, there were bad guys. Then those bad guys had red lightsabers. Then all my guys had blue lightsabers. And then they're all running into each other, fucking going crazy and swinging lightsabers.
Lasers getting shot. And you're like, what is happening?
And then at the very end, it shows like humanity all coalescing into a giant. And it was like, oh, this is just the end of Evangelion or something. I don't know.
It's kind of insane looking.
And then also you get to make your own levels, which I don't like because I always feel like that's, I don't know, that always is a red flag for me, but I don't care.
It's one of those ones that's both a red flag but also very nice because it means the game, like if you actually do end up liking the game, it'll last you a long time.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking weird that I don't see myself playing it for very long.
It's very bizarre. It's very, very strange. But you know what this reminded me of?
What's that?
When I was watching it, whatever happened to that game that was just like food? You know what I'm talking about? It was like a PS5 game that was like when they first announced it, where it was like you're just putting food on stuff, and all the food looked really, really good. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely. I just don't remember.
Let's see. PS5 food game. I should have looked it up because it was Noor. Yeah, there we go. Wait, is this game out? Did it come out?
Did it come out?
Let's see. Newer, play with your food. Available on PS5. Oh, shit. No, wait. Release date to be determined.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that one now. I just didn't know its name.
But, like, where is this game? It's not at the state of play. Why isn't anybody demanding? Why are we getting new Destiny trailers before I get this weird, like, putting food on a food game that was very strange? There's a lot of hamburgers. I want to play this game. Where's Noor? Play with your food. Come on. Come on.
It's one of those like games that you're like, this looks dumb as shit, but I will totally play it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we don't have time to talk about the games that weren't in here. Let's see.
Goodbye, Volcano
High. We got another look at that. I think this game looks really good. I think this is the maddest game I've ever seen in my life.
No, it feels like somebody really would be something Matt totally would draw in his spare time is what it feels like. And it's been in development for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
To the point where like a parody version of it came out before it ever came out, and people thought it came out because of that.
Yeah. It looks really good though. All the animation is really nice, and like the characters and all the music and stuff looks really good too, or sounds really good too. So I don't know. I think this game comes out, I'm just gonna have to like have Matt and Tessa play it. I'm just gonna leave the room.
I think that would be a good idea.
You guys just do whatever.
Yeah, just walk out of the room.
Yep.
and just come in every moment going, "You guys winning?
Are you winning, guys?" Yeah. But yeah, it looks really good. Like, and this one,
That looks fantastic.
We already had the release date for this one, right? It was in the last one.
I think so, but it's like I don't remember because again, this thing has been in development for a fucking long ass time.
True.
Almost didn't get made. This is exciting depending on who you are.
Speaking of shit that's been around for a long, long time, how about the Naruto, Boruto, Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections? Where it's like, relive all your favorite moments from Naruto, whatever, however you say it.
One of the two. Whatever your weeaboo senses are telling you, Jeff.
Yeah, well, no matter how I say it, somebody will be there to tell me I'm saying it wrong. So
you got to believe it, Jeff.
I don't care.
Sorry, I had to make that joke.
The thing is that this was a very long trailer for anybody who's not familiar with Naruto.
It was. Like, I recognize some of it because I watched a lot of Naruto up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then it got to the points where I didn't watch, and then it showed Boruto, and I'm like, oh, I doubly don't care about that part.
Yeah.
But it's exciting only because it's like they decided to just take all of the story modes and jam them together, and I think that's kind of cool.
So is this just like the PS4 game Ultimate Ninja Storm or whatever, and then they're just revamping it and making it better?
Yeah, from what it seems, it's kind of the way. That's a good way of putting it. Like, you remember Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? No, Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the PlayStation 1.
Yes.
Or it just took all of the characters and all the shit into one thing.
Yes.
I think that's what they're doing, but it also has the story mode stuff.
Okay.
So I think that's what makes it exciting.
Okay.
But
do people still care about Naruto?
Dude, they fucking love Naruto.
What about Boruto?
No, they don't care about Boruto.
Okay, all right.
Boruto is the Dragon Ball GT of Naruto right now.
That's a thing you just said.
And people aren't happy with that.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, go check it out. Whatever. I don't care.
I don't know the equivalent that I could say. It's the Dune sequels to Dune, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
The ones not made by the original guy.
Oh, the bad ones.
Yes.
The ones we do not speak of.
That's exactly.
So quit speaking of them, Michael.
That's the best way I can put it.
Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be on PlayStation 5?
So is that J.K. Simmons or am I going crazy?
It really does sound like J.K. Simmons. It doesn't always sound like J.K. Simmons, but then sometimes it's like exactly J.K. Simmons.
That's why I'm trying to figure it out. It's been driving me fucking nuts.
Here, let's just use the internet and we'll type in Baldur's. I gotta do this with one hand. I gotta hold the microphone. Baldur's Gate 3, J.K. Simmons, not J.K. Rowling.
Why would that be the first thing on there?
Featuring actor J.K. Simmons as the voice of the newly revealed antagonist.
Yeah,
so
that is him.
Yes, that is J.K. Simmons.
He sounds very strange at that, but it is him at least.
He's doing a little bit more of a character and a little bit less just J.K. Simmons' voice.
There's not as much yelling, I think, is why I'm surprised by it.
Yeah, I'm not getting any notes of Cave Johnson out of it, really.
Yeah, I'm not
all.
getting that. Any J. Jonah Jameson out of it.
Oh my God, but now we have to redub this trailer, but just put in Cave Johnson quotes instead.
That should be. Every time he attacks somebody, you know who I am? I'm the man who's going to burn your house down with the lemons.
This looks really good, though. This looks like a good port. Like, it looks like they did a good job of keeping a lot of the detail and a lot of the lighting and kind of the nice way that it looks.
It looks great.
So, yeah, I haven't gone back yet. I mean, I played the Baldur's Gate 3 when it originally came into early access, but I wanted to wait for it to be done. And, I mean, this trailer also had a release date, which was August 31st, which I think they said it was going to be out this year. I don't know if they had pinpointed a date.
I don't think they ever pinpointed a date.
And I'm not even sure if that's like, if the PC version is going to be out before that, because it could be.
That's a good point, actually. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Because Larian's the kind of place that would do that, right? Just be like, hey, you guys have done the early access thing. Here's the full version. But
plus, that happens a lot of times with this early access PC ones.
From there, we saw, oh God, I forgot the name of this, Wayfinder, which, I'll be honest, I'm cooling a little bit on, but I really do like Airship Syndicate. Like, I really like Airship Syndicate quite a bit. So if anybody could pull off this weird, like, MMO, real-time action, play with your friends, RPG thing, and make it interesting, I think Airship Syndicate might be able to do it, but it looks very generic if you don't know that. If you don't have the pedigree of the development studio, it looks like if you told me this was made by the team that made Dauntless or Paladins, I would believe you. Right?
Yeah, it's just the tricky thing is a lot of these fantasy MMO-y type things are starting to blend in together.
Yeah,
because this specific art style seems to be among a lot of those games.
They do that a lot, especially if you've been doing a podcast about video games for 13 years and then also played games for like 30 years before that. So
Yeah, kind of, but also in the past like just 5 years, kind of they've all started to look like this.
Yeah.
Because what was that Monster Hunter like looking one?
Dauntless.
Dauntless looked very like this too.
Yep.
Like if you would have told me this was a expansion of Dauntless, I would not have been surprised.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested, and apparently there's going to be a beta for it on the PlayStation, but because I liked Darksiders Genesis a lot, like a lot, and I liked that League of Legends game with the pirate
Yeah, no, that one was
thing.
good.
I like the look of that a lot too.
They have a lot of good ideas, but not every game is going to be a banger.
Oh, and then also Battle Chasers.
Did they do Battle Chasers?
Mhm.
I know that.
Yep. So, but I don't know. Who knows? We can see. Okay.
The best part of this entire thing.
Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, baby.
3 new characters. Michael, tell them what they've won. Johnny.
They gave Zangief pants. It's the most shocking thing that's happened in there. No, yeah, besides that, Zangief looks fucking amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The sheer amount of detail in him is the most realistic I've ever seen Zangief in my entire life.
What about the
and
movie?
He's kind of terrifying.
What about Street Fighter the movie?
Yeah, but that's an actual person.
Yeah.
Where this is a person, or this is a 3D model that looks like a person.
Yeah.
And my god, does he look fucking... He scares me. Because Zangief, for a long time, one of my friends in high school was really good with Zangief.
Yep.
And he, ever since then, I've been terrified of fighting Zangief.
People who are really good at Zangief need to die.
They're scary.
It's no fun to play people who are really good at Zangief. Like,
Well, that's what makes it that much more fun when you do defeat a Zangief player.
yeah.
But because with the second you get close to them, you're mostly dead if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
But man, he looks fantastic. And then they showed off
What's the lady?
a new character named Lily,
Lily? Okay.
and she has these. I don't know what they are.
It's like big bone, like
They're like-
tonfas or something?
Yeah, they're like a specific thing to whatever her race is. Because I know I've seen them before. I just don't remember what they're called.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they're like usually like a. I want to say they're like a sports tool or something, but it's been a long time.
Huh.
Either that or they're like a white. Because they have like
Oh.
this big iron ball things at the end.
Oh,
of
I know
them.
what those are. That's the aren't those like? Isn't that like Hilo
I don't remember what they're called. That's the thing.
or something like that? I don't know if they're the exact same thing, but they
But
look
she-
kind of like that, where it's like they hold a ball, right?
Yeah,
and then you
and-
would whip that and.
Yeah, and she uses them mainly as her weapon, and she has these like great moves where she like spins you around,
Yeah.
smacks you around with them, and then it showed her super, where she does this really cool like throwing them all around forever until she lets go and then falls on top of them.
Yeah,
which was really fucking cool.
It she kind of like messes up.
Yeah,
and actually falls on top of the person.
and she looks amazing. And then the last one, might as well just be like, hey, Mike, you know all the things you love in a woman?
Yeah.
Let's put that into character because Cammy looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god!
All right.
Holy shit, short hair Cammy is doing things for me.
Okay.
But she looks
Jeez.
fantastic. She has this really
I'm
like
gonna leave the room now.
interesting like jacket that's just like has this big old Union Jack on the back of it, and she just looks just as fast as she's ever been.
She's got
before.
a lot of straps. She's got some big straps hanging off.
Yeah, and her movesets are just like every time they show an older character,
Yeah.
and they show like just how different their movesets feel now, it makes me that much happier that we've finally have gotten past Street Fighter 3. So these characters can finally grow, not just story-wise, but also in their movesets. Because they were very limited in the fact that they couldn't really make them that much more insane than Street Fighter 3 for some of them.
Really?
Yeah, because Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li are all in Street Fighter 3.
Okay.
And you were like, well, we want to give them new movesets. Like, yeah, but those 3 characters are very defined in what they can and can't do by then. So you can't be like...
Who gives a shit?
So you can't be like, oh, Ryu now knows like a super powerful like Hadouken things. Like, well, how come we didn't do that in 3? Because Japan's very Japan loves details.
No, but the answer to that is shut up, nerd. Street Fighter 3 came out when I was in high school.
Yeah, Jeff,
Like-
but Japan loves details.
Okay.
They love the shit out of details. I
Okay.
found this out from a lot of them.
Okay.
And so, yeah, every character can now finally truly grow in many different ways. And my God, she looks fucking amazing, and I can't fucking wait to play Street Fighter 6.
Seems to me like Street Fighter 4 and 5 should not have been interquels if that was the case.
I'm still annoyed by how I'm still annoyed as fuck that those games are all prequels to 3.
Let's see. We saw some more Resident Evil 4. This is just more Resident Evil 4.
It's the most we've seen of outside of the village stuff, because they show most of the stuff they've shown at this point has just been the village, right?
No, we've seen a lot. Well, okay. So the thing is that I think it was one of the weeks when you weren't on. They had some gameplay that was a little bit more outside. It was definitely in the parts where the cultists are carrying Ashley off.
No, I saw that stuff, but that stuff is still really early on.
Not the cultists. They don't show up until the castle.
No, they show up in the
villagers.
church. If I remember correctly.
I mean,
if I remember, I thought the gameplay was church related, but I might be thinking of a different gameplay thing, because they've constantly been releasing new gameplay stuff for this.
Yeah,
but this is the most I've seen, at least outside of that beginning chunk.
we saw Krauser. They said there aren't any like QuickTime events in the game. That was like a story a few weeks back. But like when fighting Krauser, there's totally a bunch of like things on the screen saying like dodge and like melee and stuff like that.
I think when they meant that, it was like the stuff between cutscenes.
Yeah,
because you remember it's like run away from the Baldur, and then you have to just hit the buttons over and over again for him to run faster, or this guy's gonna like land on you, like run away from him or something like that. I think like the actual in-game QuickTime stuff is still very much part of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially if you have to, fucking parry the chainsaw with your gun. Like that was already kind of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It looks good.
It's fine.
It looks like a really cool remake.
I'm still not entirely on board with this thing where I'm just like, did we need RE4 was like one of the best ones, and it really holds up even to this day.
I can't blame
need to
you.
remake it? Like,
but now Ada looks Asian.
Yes.
The internet is upset about
definitely the most important thing. Ada Wong is now an Asian lady.
It's never been done before, Jeff.
Also, there's going to be a mercenaries mode for all you weirdos that care about mercenaries mode.
They have to do it, Jeff. They legally have to now.
They gotta.
And then they legally have to add something no one cares about.
All right, so then the big event, 15 minutes of Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
My God.
So I told you before we started that I think I figured out what the problem is with this.
What did you get from it?
Okay. I think I started making this when this kind of game would have been interesting. The biggest problem that I have, I don't know why I'm pausing. This thing is 15 minutes long.
I don't know who you're trying to stop it from.
The problem with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is that we live in a post-Avengers world.
We do.
And the thing is that if this game had come out before the Avengers game had come out, I feel like I would be more excited to give it a try. The problem is that it looks remarkably similar to the Avengers game in gameplay. Faceless mobs, different variants of the same thing. Everybody's moveset is kind of the same. But
I don't think that's true for the Avengers one, at least. I thought everyone was very more unique in it. Because it's not like Captain America was throwing Thor's hammer, or Hulk was using unibeams. Everybody here has the same gun.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that I know that it's not entirely I know that it is not entirely fair to bitch about this in terms of video games, but like in Avengers, everybody's either shooting something from a distance or punching something up close. But I
don't even feel like people are punching things in this.
I think they are. I think we've seen a lot of stuff with King Shark
one
and
guy
Harley.
punching things. Everyone else shoots and snipes from a distance.
I don't know. I know that you like Avengers, but to me, I feel like this just looks like Avengers, but with more acrobatics to it.
I think it looks even lesser to Avengers with more acrobatics to it, personally, because everything is a gun. It feels like all it is. It's like, what if everyone was Black Widow in that game, and I think that's what really bums me out the most about it.
Yeah. So. The thing that bums me out about it is the fact that it looks tedious as fuck.
Everything about it screams, hey, all the stuff you didn't like about the Avengers game and like the Division and all those things? What if we just did all those things?
Yeah.
But with characters you don't care about at all.
So I think that...
and I guess Harley Quinn.
I think that...
Although I like Captain Boomerang.
Like most of the things, like most of these types of video games, we're tired of it. We're tired of just this, okay, now go to this place and fight these nameless guys. Like these weird Brainiac zombies might as well be dudes, those AIM dudes from Avengers, or like those robots.
No,
there's
you're
like
right on
18
that.
different kinds of robots that show up, but they're all just fucking robots. Like at least in
There's a lot of glowy weak points.
yes, at least in the Arkham games, like the bad guys, they just were like these big criminals, and they had like these barks, and they seemed like these are just growling guys. Like they don't. I don't know.
Well, the thing about the Arkham games is that before you start beating up everybody, they're all having conversations and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, these are just real dudes who don't want to fight me.
Yep.
Or these are just like, yeah, they're mindless mobs with giant weak point. Everything has a giant weak point in the footage they showed.
Sure.
The cannon does, the tanks do.
Yep.
The bad guys do. You're like, and then the story is just like, it's like, man, what if we were edgy? Kind of thing.
Again, I think this game started development like 8 years ago.
It had to have.
When this was acceptable, and it's just been in development like limbo for so long that like now what they have is basically their version of the Division 5 years after the Division was relevant. They have their Avengers after Avengers has been shut down. Like it's like those companies that started making MOBAs, and then they came out like way after, or they saw like World of Warcraft and started making an MMO, and then the MMO came out, and it was like, well, this has some interesting stuff, but why the fuck would I play it? There's already a good one of these. And I think that this formula has just aged like curdled milk. Like it doesn't hold up to. And the thing is that we now live in a world where we've had an experience of playing a game like this for multiple years and finding out that it gets stale and boring and repetitive and dull. And then you look at this, and I'm not even saying that I still have hope that this game might be fun, but I think it was developed in an earlier time, and I don't think that this type of game necessarily is a good idea now to do. That we're all over it. We're all over it now, and we want different shit.
Yeah, and there's so much going on in it that's just like it's so like Gotham Knights came out last year.
Yep.
And it's already on sale for like $30.
Yep.
And like on so many things. And it frustrates me because it's like I want DC games where I get to use the characters I want to be, but all WB seems to want to do is make games about all the side characters nobody wants to be.
Well, although
at least with Gotham Knights, at least some of them were name brand. These are all Suicide Squad characters.
The other problem with this is I have a little bit more ire towards Avengers than you do, but the one thing I will definitely agree with you about is like, why in the world Captain Boomerang is a character, and his thing is that he's the boomerang master. He throws boomerangs. He's got special trick boomerangs. He's got boomerangs that do all kinds of stuff. He's got a machine gun.
A machine gun and a shotgun.
It'd be like if you put Green Arrow in a game, and you're like, this is Green Arrow, and his weapon is a shotgun, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
He has arrows. Like, use the arrows. That's the thing that makes me more upset about this, because Captain Boomerang and Deadshot could both be ranged characters, and King Shark and Harley Quinn could be more focused on melee, but that would be a much harder thing to program into a game where you could play with your friends, and you have to be able to interact with characters either more like Avengers, right?
Yes.
Either melee characters or ranged characters.
That did a pretty good job with that for the most part. It's just that there was nothing to do in it.
Except that, again, you had to just punch the same robot over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
and over
but that
again.
was always its issue, Jeff.
But so yeah,
the gameplay was never the issue. The issue was there was nothing to do.
The thing is that there are things that I like about the gameplay. I really do like how vertical it is. I do like how much characters are
a lot, actually.
Going up, and there's kind of a lot of like, Deadshot apparently could just fly. Like, he just has a jetpack, he can just fly forever. Some of the like super attacks that they have look pretty cool, like the ones that kind of clear out multiple guys. It's just, you got King Shark, and you just gave him like a chain gun. Like, he's a shark. Let me eat the guys.
He's also the most generic King Shark I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, it doesn't help that James Gunn's Suicide Squad King Shark was amazing, and Harley Quinn's King Shark was also amazing.
Yeah. They're both these giant, like, great white shark leggings, and this is just a dude with a shark head.
And then this doughy Luther comes out, And it's just
so no joke. As we were watching this, I thought to myself, why does Lex Luthor remind me of our friend Gene?
Oh my god, he looks so much like Gene.
He looks just like Gene.
Oh my God.
I have to send that to Gene later today.
Again, in Harley Quinn, Giancarlo Esposito is Lex Luthor.
Everyone is so good at that show.
Yeah.
And all the Suicide Squad members in fucking not Zack Snyder's, in fucking James Gunn's movies are really cool.
Yep.
And then we get these guys who I think would be closer to the Snyder versions.
It's also
even not even that, to be honest.
It's also a little irritating that they focus on the Flash, and then it's like, oh, here's the Flash, and he's here now, and it's like, oh man, what is the Suicide Squad going to do now that the Flash is here? It's like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman shows up, like, who is not part of the Suicide Squad, to just like push the story forward, I guess. Like,
yeah, she's the only thing not hypnotized. And I think that's somewhat interesting, but like, what does that have to do with her later on, I guess? I don't know. It's hard to really understand what this game is.
The thing is that I do think, like, the overall minute-to-minute action, I'm a little worried about. I like all the cutscenes, and I like a lot of the character stuff. I think it's a pretty game. I'm hoping that there's some kind of alchemy that we're not getting, where when you get it in your hands, you're like, oh, this is actually really fun. Like, it may just be a generic shooter. We played generic shooters before that are fun, where you're mowing down tons of enemies.
Yeah.
But then they keep saying stuff. Then they keep talking. And you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Or they're like, oh yeah, your power level is this big number on the side, and like, you have to get it to a certain level. And it's like,
and you have loadouts based on heroes, and if you have Bane's thing, it makes green gas go everywhere or some shit. You're like, what are you talking about?
I'm not necessarily like, I wish they had a second example. Like, they had Bane, but then also another example.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? Like,
they mentioned Wonder Woman at one point, but I never show anything for it. Also, this guy looks straight like Brainiac. This Albert, who is he? The character and weapons art director? When I saw his head, I'm like, that is a supervillain.
No, but again, I'm actually, I'm not sorry, because the comparisons make themselves. But like in Avengers, right? Didn't you have equipment that would give you like, oh, you've got gamma powered, like whatever, gamma powered Captain America shield that does gamma damage in addition to the regular damage. And so I just assume it's something like that. It's just all they picked was the Bane one that makes weird green skulls and looks like farty gas. Like,
which was what made me confused. They're like, it reminds you of Bane. I'm like, how does that remind me of Bane?
Yeah,
Is it supposed to remind me of Venom? That doesn't make any sense.
The lady was like, it's going to remind you of Bane, and then you're going to talk like Bane. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's how Venom works, guys. That's not what that works as. Also, the only interesting thing I got from it is they confirmed that it's 5 years after the end of Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, at this point, everyone knows who Batman is. So, like, it also makes the secret ending to Arkham Knight confusing.
Man, I miss big fat Amanda Waller from the comics.
I do too.
I really like it when Amanda Waller was just like this big fat black lady that would just like walk up to Superman and be like, get the fuck out of here.
The New 52 was like, what if she was sexy? And I'm like, I don't want to be attracted to Amanda Waller.
No.
That's weird.
Amanda Waller is like a war criminal.
Yeah. I love when she's this fat lady who just everyone is terrified of.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked some of the alternate costumes. I liked the old school Captain Boomerang with the dumb haircut.
That was pretty cool.
I kind of liked the Harley Quinn dressed up like Wonder Woman. Even though I would have been much more interested if it had been Harley Quinn with her like old costume.
Yeah, it was really strange when they're like, look at all these costumes. It's like, don't you want to be King Shark dressed as Superman? I'm like,
no.
I want to be Superman dressed as Superman. You guys stop doing this to me.
Okay, you and John need to get the fuck over it. Like, it's not that game.
That's not what I'm not saying it's that. I'm not saying it's that game. It's just that it bothers me that we finally have a game with the Justice League and Brainiac and Metropolis, and it's a Suicide Squad game.
Yes,
it's like the monkey paw of a game announcements. And I'm not mad that it was this game. It's just I still wish there was more to it than just Suicide Squad characters.
Sure.
And they're like, yeah, we're gonna add more characters. I'm like, well, who else from the Suicide Squad are gonna add that has another gun? That it makes them less interesting.
Any of them.
Way.
We're going to add Killer Frost, but she's got a gun.
Got a gun.
We're going to add Polka Dot Man, but he's going to use a machine gun. We're going to, We're gonna add Enchantress, but she's gonna have a pistol.
Just pistols. And the Rat King, but he never uses rats. Or she never uses rats the whole game.
She's got a gun that looks like a rat, but it's like a machine gun that shoots bullets with little rat faces on them. But that's what Ratcatcher does. And it's like, what?
It frustrates me, the no-end.
Yeah, the idea that they talked about having like post-launch content of having like, we're going to add more areas and more villains for you to play as, and it's just like, I think you vastly overestimated the amount of time. This is the problem with Avengers. You vastly overestimated the amount of time that people want to play this one game. Like, this is a game that I would like to play, I would like to beat, and then I'm going to move on to other games that are not this fucking game. I'm not going to play Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League forever.
No,
I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to play any of them. I'm not going to play Destiny or Gotham Knights or fucking. You know what I'm going to play? I'm going to play Hitman, a game where you don't get to play with your friends and there's no additional content.
There's additional content to Hitman.
There's some additional content.
Just not the way you thought it was.
Yeah, also there's Toymaker and
the Toy
Gizmo and Gremlins. Glitch was that
his
lady?
Name was just Gizmo. Oh, you're talking about the network or something? I don't even remember
something.
Her name was, but she's very confusing. Yeah. I don't know. I want to like this game, but every time I see more of it, I'm just like, man, I don't. You've made it very easy for me to not care about this, and that's sad because this used to be one of my most anticipated games for a long time.
Yeah,
and boy howdy, is it not anymore.
Who knows? I mean, maybe fun. I think it's gonna be mediocre, to be honest. I think it's gonna come out a lot like Avengers, where there's like some good ideas, but like I think that the game industry as a whole vastly overestimates the amount of time that people want to play a game like this. Like, people will play Madden all year, nonstop. Like, just that. The people that are really into Destiny, they'll play Destiny like nonstop. They'll go on raids and then wait for the new content. They'll, by the time the next year comes around, they're about ready to re-up it. But like, it's just a big ask to put something like this out with the idea that it's going to be an infinity game from the start. And I really, really think that it's because it started development so long ago. Like, back when, again, if this had come out when it was supposed to, I think that it would have given Avengers a run for its money, right?
This has been in development for a long-ass time.
Yeah.
Like, when was this first announced?
That's a good question. Let's see. I was going to say, when did Arkham Knight come out?
That was like a 2014, 2015 thing.
Batman Arkham Knight was a PlayStation 3 game. 2015. Rocksteady. Let's see. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It was announced in 2010. A video game based on Suicide Squad was first announced by DC Comic Jeff Johns in 2010. February 2012, he elaborated the game was in development, adding that because of the concept, you have a game where any of the lead characters can conceivably die and it's not a stunt. Well, that would have been really interesting if it was like that.
Because there's a lot of teases in the Arkham Origins thing about the Suicide Squad.
Let's see. The formation of the Suicide Squad was teased at the end of Batman Arkham Origins in 2013. Which had a post-credit scene where Deathstroke is asked by Amanda Waller to join the team. So, I mean, like, 2013, it had to already be in development by 2013.
Yeah.
Because if that was a tie-in, and it's fucking 10 years after that. Like,
yeah, because I remember finishing Arkham Origins, and it was like, oh, Deathstroke, you want to be in the Suicide Squad?
Right.
And then I finished Blackgate as well on my 3DS, and it was like, Bronze Tiger, do you want to be part of the Suicide Squad?
Right.
So everyone assumed the Suicide Squad game was going to be made by the WB Games guys who made the Arkham Origins games, which is why it was so surprising that Rocksteady was the one that was announced doing it.
No, remember? Okay, I'm just reading this. 2016, Schreier said it was canceled.
Oh, the original version was canceled.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then it was re-announced in 2020. So, you know what? Like, when I look at this game, I'd be willing to bet that this game has only been in development for, like, a few years, as opposed to, like, whatever that previous thing was. I bet that it got mostly scrapped outside of character design stuff, right?
I bet you this one was in development for at least a year prior to its announcement.
Yes.
But nothing, like, substantial.
No. And I bet...
It was all, like, pre-production.
And I'd also be willing to bet that if the previous one was being worked on by Rocksteady... Maybe, because they also just haven't put anything out since the Batman VR, the Arkham VR game.
I feel like they were trying to come up with ideas for new stuff, And because I feel like WB Games Montreal was probably originally the one on top of that original version, because they would have had to have been having that many teases for it in the games they themselves made.
Mm-hmm. And then it's possible that at some point Warner Brothers basically came in and they were like, make the Avengers, because that sounds like something that Warner Brothers would do.
Oh, 100%.
They look at the Avengers, they don't give a shit about the numbers, they just get the hype for it. Because when did Avengers come out?
2020.
2020?
It came out in 2020.
And if they started work on it like right before when we had seen Avengers but it was not yet out, and they were just kind of basing it on, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Warner Brothers comes down and tells Rocksteady that they've been fucking around for too long and they need to fucking make the Avengers for Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers is always trying to jump to the end to do the same profitable thing that everybody else is doing, but without doing any of the groundwork or laying any of the goodwill first.
Well, that's kind of how Gotham City of Imposters kind of came about. They're like, what if we just did Team Fortress?
Right.
But with like Gotham people.
Batman for some reason.
And then it's just, of course, it didn't work out because it's terrible. It was a weird fucking game.
If you had made, if in the interim, like let's just use our imagination. If in the interim there had been like a Superman game or a Flash game, let's say, right, that ended with the formation of the Justice League, where you go and you interact with everybody else in that Arkham universe, and then at the very end the teaser just shows like the Brainiac ship coming, and then that was like the build up to then having this one where now you're going to flip over to be the villains, having to go up against the guys that you before. That would be a great concept.
That would have been a massive one, because the thing about the Arkham verse is that it was all Batman. They mentioned Superman like a handful of times in Arkham Knight, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they mentioned like the idea of them existing in the first one, when Joker's like, if there's any like tight people coming over here, I'll blow up fucking Arkham Asylum.
Right.
That's the only time they ever mentioned prior to that point. And you never see a picture of anybody. Like, you get one Lex Luthor like voicemail on Arkham Knight kind of thing, and that's it. It's like, and then all of a sudden they're like, all of these characters that you love, and Captain Boomerang is going to defeat the Flash. I'm like, I have no connection to Captain Boomerang in any shape, way, or form.
In the Arkham universe, I'm more connected to Calendar Man, for fuck's sake.
Like if the Suicide Squad was full of everyone from the Arkham games,
Poison
I probably would have been more interested in
Bane
this.
And like
instead you're like Harley Quinn, the only character that you've actually spent time with through this whole thing.
Yep.
And three dudes you barely know because you watched a movie one time.
Clayface, maybe. Like
there's so many more things you could have done with that.
What if one of the playable characters in the Suicide Squad was Victor Zsasz?
Oh god.
You're just gonna play a fucking psycho killer.
Oh my god. But give him a gun.
But obviously he has a machine gun, so
yeah, it shoots knives.
Yep. And that was the state of play. Boy, I wish we'd gotten through that faster, but we had a lot of feelings.
We got caught up on that Suicide Squad.
A lot of feelings about Suicide Squad, and there was a little bit more than I thought, but all told, like, I don't care about the VR. Most of the rest of that I already knew existed, and the Suicide Squad thing didn't do any favors for Suicide Squad.
No, the only thing interesting in it was watching Zangief fuck up some people.
Yeah.
And they gave him pants.
Yep. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I don't know how the fuck this is going to work, because there is like, we should have started with the stuff that we're going to come back and talk about, but like, we don't got time for that. So I don't know what's going to happen. You just have to tune in and find out in just a minute. Yeah, don't turn this off or anything. Just wait for the music to start. Oh boy, Michael. Oh boy.
There's a lot.
Oh boy.
And that's just boy.
Woo! Okay, let's get this show on the road, because there is a lot.
Let's rock.
There's some new. This is just some announcements. There's some new Nintendo stuff that's happening. So next week on Pokemon Day, we're getting a new Pokemon Direct, basically, on February 27th. So keep an eye out for that. Last time we had a Pokemon Direct like that is when they announced Scarlet and Violet. So who knows? Maybe they'll announce that they're fixing Scarlet and Violet this time around.
We're going to make a new one.
Apparently, this is also connected to a story, just very briefly, that apparently like what the secondary market for Pokemon cards that have like women on the cards has apparently gone through the roof.
Why?
Like, I don't know.
Fuck?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, then.
Anyway,
Sure.
also Nintendo is doing a specific direct for the Super Mario Brothers movie that's going to be coming out March 9th.
Oh.
It's going to be like the last look before the movie itself comes out. So
I didn't realize it was that soon.
yeah, mark your calendars. Mark your calendars. I keep forgetting that Quantumania is out. Just like that.
I haven't seen it
happened.
actually. Yeah, I need to watch that too.
Do not care. But the big news this week from Nintendo was that Nintendo actually put pen to paper and signed a 10-year contract with Xbox to bring Call of Duty to the Nintendo Switch.
Yes,
This is big.
it's real big.
This is if the acquisition of Activision Blizzard comes through, and there had been discussions like this in the past.
Yeah, they mentioned it back in December, right?
Yes. But now it has been like full on finalized. It's not just talks, it's not rumors. It has been announced that if the deal goes through, they say they're going to be bringing Call of Duty to the Switch and they're going to have all the same stuff that's on the other consoles. I don't know how that's entirely possible given the graphical fidelity of Call of Duty on other consoles.
I think the idea is the streaming thing.
Yeah,
There's the streaming on Switch. But
rough.
the other thing I think that they could do is just release past games on it.
Yeah,
Because the last game that came out on Nintendo console for Call of Duty was Ghosts.
in 2013.
Yeah, it was a long ass time ago.
Full decade. The Wii U, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
it was a Wii U game, guys. So you could easily just be like, just fucking start releasing them all back to back kind of thing.
I don't even know if the Switch can handle even some of the older Call of Duty games.
It'll probably handle anything up until the end of the PS4 era, maybe.
I guess I just wonder if we're going to be going back to that era. You remember when like they were releasing Call of Duty games on the Wii, and it was like, looks great, looks like shit.
Yeah, that's we might have that, but we also might get the weird control schemes.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
yeah,
To melee, you can use your Wiimote to like smack a dude.
yeah. You can use your Joy-Con to use gyro aiming and
Exactly.
like, put your hand out there. But no, this is really big. This is like a really big thing.
It's a huge deal.
And I think it's kind of interesting because we also had a second story this week. Microsoft is really trying to buy off but like they've changed a lot of their strategy from like they're making arguments, but they're also just like straight up buying out like people who have had problems with it. See the other announcement where they said that they're going to be putting Xbox games on GeForce Now.
Yeah, this was the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
because it was my favorite part. Because for the guys who don't know, NVIDIA and Google came out to the FTC going, we have our concerns about the sale.
Yes.
And now Microsoft's like, shut your fucking mouth and we'll pay. I'll give you $100 to shut the fuck up and get out of my face kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's what this is. And I think these moves are them going like, look at us, government. We're giving the people the games, so we're not, being weird about it. Please let the sale go through.
Now, from everything that I've read about this, it seems like this is only first-party Microsoft games.
Yeah, as far as I can tell,
PC. And there's nothing in the language that I've seen. Maybe you know more than I do because you actually have to fucking research shit.
Well, the Call of Duty stuff is still part of it.
I just get to run my mouth over here. People just being like, "Just do your research for 10 years." And I'm like, I don't want to. It also, I don't see anything in the wording here that says that this is going to connect GeForce Now to Game Pass.
No, there's nothing on it. I think all it is bringing them to the possibility to be used on GeForce Now is all they've said. And the Nintendo thing only said Call of Duty.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether this is just like, we've got Xbox or we've got Halo, Forza, Flight Simulator, and these are like, if you buy these games, then you can play them through Steam on GeForce Now, which I'll be honest, man, like we had that week where we did almost everything in a week on GeForce Now. We did Deliver Us Mars, and then I played that season game with Tessa, and I played Portal RTX with Tessa. All of those were captured on GeForce Now, and they all ran like a dream. So like GeForce Now is really top tier streaming in a way where like I've tried the Nintendo one, I've tried the xCloud gaming. xCloud is like has no options, like whereas GeForce has the options, and if you sign up for the premium package, you get run on fucking NVIDIA or GeForce 4080 blades, right? Like you could turn and like if you be keeping up with the 4080 stuff, when you have DLSS turned on a 4080, it runs at like 300 frames per second. So like it really, you don't even feel the lag as it goes back and forth.
There's no, like, the lag is non-existent because it's an offset.
Right.
Everything is offsetting each other, so you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
'Cause the human eye is not exactly that trained. It's trained enough for like 60 FPS, but I doubt anything past that point.
Especially if you run on a 120 hertz monitor like I am. But it looks great, and so this is interesting news. This is very interesting news
win for GeForce Now.
Yeah,
huge fucking win.
Well, especially because the thing is that one of the things that happened with GeForce Now is they kept taking games off of it in its early days, right? So there's the question of like, because Microsoft has, because this is not even contingent on the deal going through. This is just they're going to do it, right? Like, this isn't even talking about Call of Duty. So the question is, if this works out well for Microsoft, will they put their subsidiary purchase games, will Starfield, for example, be on GeForce Now? Will, Redfall be on GeForce Now? Because the thing is that if you still have to buy those games, they're not part of Game Pass. Like, by putting them on GeForce Now, you're just giving people like dumbasses like me who buy GeForce Now the ability to buy the game, give Microsoft money in order to play it on GeForce Now.
It's a win-win, honestly.
So and I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it, because you don't have to spend $2,000 on a video card. You could just spend $20 a month on a GeForce Now subscription, and then of course you have to buy the games. But like,
I feel like this was the actual plan that NVIDIA had.
Yeah,
like we need to shake Xbox to get some shit out of them.
You're like, whoa, man, I don't know
about that Xbox. I'm not against the idea.
I'm just saying that we have a whole service, and they won't let us put any of their games on this service. So I don't know if we can trust these guys. Oh wait, we can trust these guys. You can trust these guys.
Well, it reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where they're like there's gonna be an investigation. And it cuts to Mayor Quimby in fur coat and like a bunch of money.
Yeah.
There'll be no investigation. Just walks away.
Yeah, exactly. But then the third thing. So a lot of this is happening in the midst of this thing where they're in Brussels right now. Microsoft is there, like making their case to the EU for the.
Yeah, they had like a whole presentation.
Yeah,
and some journalists were there.
Yeah, they're doing kind of behind the scenes like talks with the EU.
Do you have the picture of the chart?
The chart. I don't know.
There was Brad Smith was like the vice president of something.
Okay.
He was up on stage with this chart, this pie chart that just says 80% PlayStation and 20% Microsoft, because it's supposed to be like, this is the market share of like the world, and it's just him being like, it's just like, what's happening, dude?
Okay. Yeah, this is not.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the chart over here?
There's other pictures of it like closer, but it's literally just says like Sony 80% and like Microsoft 20%.
Microsoft is being a real silly goose about all of this.
They're really trying to bend the stats to prove points that probably aren't actually provable.
I may just be a simple video game hyper chicken, but even I know that
that's like, literally what's happening.
Like, come on, guys, you're fucking like a $1 trillion company, okay?
It cracks me up.
But okay, so the one thing that I did know, though, apparently, is that is this Brad Smith, the same guy?
Yeah, that's the same guy.
He's just like apparently walking around these conferences with like the deal for 10-year Call of Duty exclusive, or not exclusivity, 10-year Call of Duty on the PlayStation, like in an envelope in his pocket, which of course is just such a stunt, right? Like, well, like
it is
when he says that like fucking the Sony CEO is gonna run up on stage and be like, "Give me that contract! I gotta sign it right now! I didn't know you had it on yet."
Battery's gonna show up and rip it in half and be like, "Boo, bitch!" and then run off and like, "You didn't see how mean he is?"
Yeah,
I may be a simple Microsoft president, but I say good values, and just flaps the paper back and forth.
I think that Sony, if they want to really win this fight, they need to rehire that guy that was their PR guy.
Oh, the guy who used to play the fake VP.
Yes.
I forgot his name.
Yeah,
the fact they fired him over using a Wii in a commercial is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
It really is. He was great. It was the best E3,
amazing.
Best E3 of all time when that dude
Brad
came
Butler
out.
or something was the fake name.
Oh God, who was it?
It's something Butler.
Sony Butler. Kevin Butler.
Yeah.
And to get him back and just have him go to like meetings in Brussels and then just stand up and start pontificating about PlayStation in the middle of.
He would win that shit so fast. I miss that guy.
He was great. He was great.
God, he was the absolute best thing they had.
It's funny how like Sony had the most bug shit stupid ads for a long time, and then they got this guy and it was like, you finally did it. You finally did it. And then he was there for like 2 years, and then he was like at a Wii in like a siding commercial or something.
It was it was a tire commercial.
Oh, okay.
It was a Michelin Man commercial, and they're like, it was him playing with a Wii with like another scientist, because he was like a scientist person. And then that's what they fired him for. And you're like, are you serious right now?
God damn it, Sony.
You guys are stupid.
Stupid assholes. Anyway, I really do think that Microsoft is hamming it up here.
Oh, absolutely.
But also,
one of the stats they gave for why they should do it is they're like, well, Sony has a whole bunch of games that are on Xbox, but we have a whole bunch of games with Microsoft that are on Sony's titles, and they count everything from Bethesda prior to the sale. And you're like, fuck you guys. What the fuck? God damn them.
Yeah. I think, okay, let's take a straw poll. What do you think? Is it going to happen?
It's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen.
But the funniest part is watching Microsoft kind of flail to make the public love the idea more.
It really goes back to that one thing where the Microsoft lawyers say that they just throw everything at the wall to see what's effective, and it's just like Microsoft is just out there just like, I don't know, I just walked in here, I had $70 billion in my pocket, and I was like, what should I spend it on? And there was just one thing on the table, and it said Activision, and I was like, I guess I'll take that.
One of my favorite thing about the whole thing is that it went from all of the three companies being like kind of like nice to each other to straight up like super villainy levels of the two of them hating each other now.
Yep.
And it's really funny.
Like Sony and Microsoft signed that weird deal where they were going to work together on streaming, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like 2 years ago.
It was them shaking hands and being like, and peace was throughout the land.
Right.
Until like somebody shot an arrow at Microsoft, and Microsoft just goes like, this means war.
Yeah.
So now it's literally like them telling each other off, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. I think it's great because we get to see all this behind the scenes shit because it's all just like out in the open.
Yeah.
It's
a real console war, and that's the funniest part about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is an actual console war.
Yep, I agree. Let's see. In other Activision Blizzard news, this is actually another thing that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, apparently... God, sometimes you have to wonder, okay, is this all planned or is this just like weaponized stupid? A bunch of Blizzard employees wrote notes to the EU talking about how they support the sale of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft because Microsoft has not stood in the way of any union organizing, and Activision Blizzard has. And Microsoft has said that if they acquire Activision Blizzard, they will not stop the employees from doing labor unions. And it's like, okay, like there's a world where this is a sneaky fucking House of Cards 24 inside man thing where this is like this was like the plot of a James Bond spy movie or whatever. They were just like, okay, we have to really suppress these unions, and then they'll be thirsty to get bought because they'll be like, but Microsoft, they won't. And it's like, okay, we have to be really mean to them until they unionize. Then when they unionize, we have to like fuck with them, but then we have to make sure that Microsoft over here is approving all of the unions like the first day that they come out, and then they'll be like, please European Union, let the sale go through, even though like this is the American workers.
Yeah,
these aren't even. There's nothing to do with the EU.
Pretty much, and it's a series of articles that just make me laugh because it feels like them desperately wanting to get everyone on their side.
Right.
And because it reminds me of the Disney Fox merger buyout, because all they had to do for them was be like, we can get the X-Men, and everyone ate that shit up.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft does not have that argument very well.
Yep. So yeah, that happened.
I'm kind of excited to see how the rest of this plays out. It's a car crash I can't look away from.
Of course. The thing is that I just have to wonder how interesting it is to people to listen to this podcast because I find this shit fascinating.
I absolutely find it fascinating.
But I don't know if everybody else is just like, talk about the talk about suicide, rip on Suicide Squad more, and I'm just like, well, no, look what they did.
But look how amazing this is.
Somebody went over there and they were like, hey guys, we should all write letters. Like, hey there, fellow kids, let's all write letters to the European Union about how we desperately need Microsoft to buy our company so that we can make a labor union. And
We
it's
need
like,
capitalism to work so we can unionize.
who are
It's like,
you?
what?
I've never seen you before in here. What are you?
You know me, I work in that department with Fred.
Yeah.
You know Fred. Don't pretend you don't know Fred.
So
That will hurt Fred's feelings.
I don't know though if it's all a big ploy from Microsoft to make Blizzard employees have a bad time. The other story that we have is they are definitely having a bad time.
1,000%.
This was they had like a big in-house Q&A where they talked about a lot of different things. One of the things, oh my God, Mike Ibarra, the current CEO over at Blizzard, they reduced their profit
Profit
dividend
sharing.
payouts or whatever, stock dividends.
It involves profit sharing.
It's
in some
a profit
way.
sharing bonus, right?
Yeah.
And they reduced it to 15% of what it was, and everybody was like, why? Like, oh, you guys, we've had nothing but like record years for the last like 3 years straight. You're just like, guys, we got to tighten our belt. And then he was like, what was the quote? What was the quote? Oh my God, Michael, what was that quote?
I saw it, but I forgot what it said.
He said that this isn't the exact quote, but if this is from a Polygon article, but I'll tell you the quote: "The workers who believe executives are making more money are quote living in a myth." Unquote. Like it's like we slashed the profit sharing 58% across the board, even for the executives, and it's like yes, you guys make fucking $300K a year,
Yeah,
and like a tester salary is like $60K a year. Like who cares whether you didn't get as much from profit sharing? Like I needed that shit to pay my rent and buy my kid presents for their birthday, right?
Well,
like
it was the whole thing with celebrities and during COVID and their giant mansions. You're
Right.
like, we're in this together, guys.
we can't go outside either. It's like fuck you.
I can't. All I have to do is hang out in my bowling alley that I have in my house,
Right.
and my pool,
Right.
and my tennis court. And
Oh,
you know,
no.
I can't go anywhere.
Oh, no.
And I'm super sad about it.
Oh boo!
It's like I can't even take my Ferrari anywhere.
Because
It's like, dude,
I think I slashed a story last week where they're like making people come back to the office
Yes.
3 days a week, and like
this was right after this. After that happened too.
This happened, and yeah. They also talked about they really just like waved off that horrible stack ranking story that we talked about.
Yeah, that terrible shit.
They're just like, no, it's all fine. It's all good. It's fine. And
Come back to the office. It's
yeah,
fine.
come back to the office for less money. And it's just like, what the fuck?
And if you don't want to, why don't you just quit, bro?
Yeah,
So we don't look like we did layoffs. It's so stupid.
yeah.
It's so stupid.
And apparently, as is their want, like people went to, the employees immediately went to Twitter and were just like,
Well, they're at a point where they feel like they can't really be fired, or else it's bad publicity.
Sure.
That the FTC can then use as fire.
Yeah.
As kindling.
I think that, like, again, it's like Activision Blizzard King really doesn't seem to like unions very much.
I don't think they like employees.
This is how you get unions, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, they don't like people is the issue.
yeah. Oh, you know what? There was a part of this story that I read that I was so fascinated with. Did you know that in the like go back to work thing, all of the like support staff is not coming back to work.
Oh my god.
So they're just leaving all of them like working from home, the peons that don't need to be in the office where we have like fucking shrimp and caviar Friday or whatever bullshit they do. They're just like, oh no, all of those peons, they can stay home. Now they have to bring QA back because they literally have to be in the office to test. And I do have some sympathy for the idea that like there was a lot of leaks during COVID because people working from home left their computer unlocked, and then their asshole kid would like email a bunch of screenshots to their friend who would leak them. Like I do get it's also easier if you're trying to like prototype a feature to walk down the hall to Harvey and be like, Harvey, I was thinking about putting a grappling hook in. How long would that take to implement? As opposed to like, hey, when can you have a Zoom meeting and like that kind of stuff. I do get that there's some advantages to working in the same office, but seeing this stuff across the board, I just have to, all it says to me is that like management just has a hard on for being able to come over and stand behind you and look at what's on your screen.
Oh,
like,
1,000%, because they've made a lot of different expansions by this point for a lot of games that have done fairly well, as far as I can tell. I've seen developers show up on Twitter being like, here are the things I made as from remote, and it was this giant list of like updates.
Yeah.
And they're like, and here are the things I made before that point. It was like one or two things.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing more with like than we ever have done before.
Michael, you know that executives can't have an orgasm unless they can bring you into a room for a meeting that happens every week that you have no business being in, doesn't pertain to your life whatsoever, where you have to look at a bunch of slides that don't have anything to do with anything, and you're not allowed to look at your phone, and you got to sit in there, and the room keeps getting warmer and warmer, and you keep getting more and more tired,
and he makes
and
more
you got to
worse
pee
jokes.
really bad, but you can't leave, and then that is how they become sexually aroused. That is what gets them off, is looking at you trying to pretend like you're paying attention while your bladder is full.
Jeff.
You're about to fall asleep. You're about to fall asleep and wet yourself, and they're just like, oh yeah, all right, now for the quarterly earnings call.
He's got that Colin Robinson look on his face.
Exactly. But hey, Diablo's a thing.
Yes.
Let's talk about Diablo.
Sure.
One of the things that happened last week that we unfortunately, oh my God, do not have enough time to even talk remotely about.
Fuck, where are we at?
20 minutes. But IGN.
Oh my God.
IGN had this big fan fest thing where they showed a bunch of stuff. One of the things they showed was this Diablo 4 opening cinematic. I don't know if you saw this.
I did not.
It's very kind of basic. It just shows like a guy. It talks a little bit about the world. It shows a guy on a horse, and then like in the middle of the night, his horse runs off and gets murdered. There's like whispers and shit. And then at the very end, he's like kind of walking, and he goes into a cave and kind of collapses, and there's all these kind of whispers from the outside of like demon whispers, but then
they're like, come back to the office.
But then at the very end, it's like he goes to stand up, and it's kind of interesting because they show him in this cut scene, and then he goes to stand up, and then the camera cuts, and it's looking down at the character, and this is like your character that you made was in all those cut scenes. This is like how the game starts.
Oh, okay.
Is in the opening cutscene, and it will show your character that then transitions right from that cutscene into the actual game, and that's kind of cool.
That is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, go check it out. Also, we found out that there's going to be a playtest for Diablo 4. Pre-order playtest will be the weekend of March 17th through the 19th. Open beta March 24th through the 26th. Michael, it appears that Diablo 4 is actually coming out at some point.
Deduce, you say.
I know that's weird, but yes.
How many microtransactions will it have, though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can I play it on my phone?
You have a phone, right? Come on. That would be so weird if you could play Diablo 4 on your cell phone and you're just like, oh, what was even the point?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
A hell of a twist.
From here, oh my God, we got so many things left. From here, we've got a bunch of crazy indie stories. I'm going to tell them real quick. Ready?
Go for it.
Okay, so I don't think that you and I played this. I think Amanda and I played it, and we stopped playing it because it was too boring. But there's a game called The Outbound Ghost, and it is it's a game that came out a little while back, and it's basically like an RPG, kind of in the vein of Paper Mario.
Okay.
And it is you play as these little paper cutout ghosts that kind of walk around. It's got a really esoteric story. It was made by this fucking 12-year-old guy.
Yeah, holy shit.
He looks so young.
He looks like a 13-year-old.
His name is Conrad Grindheim.
That's not a real name.
And the name of the company is Conradical Games, which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's something a teenager would do, but I love it.
And he apparently partnered with a company called Digerati that is supposed to be doing the console ports of The Outbound Ghost. And apparently the console ports of The Outbound Ghost are fucking terrible. So Conrad was like, I don't like that. You didn't do a good job. Like, we need to do this. And then he tried to take the game off of Steam. In protest, he tried to get it taken down off of stores. Apparently, Digerati just contacted all of these companies that went back up. In fact, at one point, Digerati apparently put the game on sale.
Jesus Christ.
So this kid is now DMCAing his own game off of the stores because it's the only way that he has to deal with this. He claims that he hasn't been paid royalties for sales of the game currently.
Oh, jeez.
Digerati, on the other hand, says, no, we did everything, but we like met the letter of the contract and this guy won't communicate with us and instead is just like out on Twitter calling us pieces of shit. Who knows what the truth is? One of the other things that he said that was very specific was that when you release a game in other territories, a lot of times you have to partner with a publisher in those territories. And so the thing is that when you do those partnerships, a lot of times those partners will pay the publisher up front for the rights to publish, and then they just take that payment out of the profits that are made that are paid back to the company.
No.
Conrad here says that those deals were made, but then those profits went to Digerati, and that they then did not pay him his percentage for that out of the money that they brought in because they weren't considered like quote unquote direct sales of the game. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a really weird story. And if we had a whole podcast, we might talk about it more.
That poor 12-year-old.
Here's another story about people DMCAing their own games, sort of. So there's a game called Workers and Resources: Soviet Republic.
Okay.
It's like some kind of like Eastern Bloc city building game that's being made by this company called 3 Division. And apparently when they made the game, they had an idea for having a hardcore mode that like makes the game a lot harder, but they didn't want to implement it before they launched the game. They had plans to do it afterwards. Apparently, one of the more prominent members of their community then suggested this hardcore mode and literally made like a Steam mod to make a hardcore mode.
Yeah.
The developers said, as a gesture of goodwill, well, we were already working on something like this, but we'll put your name in the credits, as like inspiration for whatever. And this apparently pissed off the guy that made this mod, who is a lawyer, who then DMCA'd the game, saying that it was that like. Actually, I don't think he even said that he owned the game, but his contention was that because he came up with this idea and they were implementing that system into the game, it means that they're ripping off his idea, and so he is using a DMCA to go after trailers and the game on Steam and all this other stuff, showing, I think, that the DMCA system is completely broken. We've all known this for a long time.
It's always been broken.
Yes. So, that fucking happened.
Jesus Christ. The internet was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, they're attempting to work all this out, but now of course they have to get a lawyer to contend with this other lawyer. Ugh.
That's going to be an interesting fight.
Yep. Let's see. Another fight with lawyers.
Jesus Christ.
It's a game called Dark and Darker that is being made by a company called Iron Mace, and apparently it's a kind of a first person kind of hacking slashing RPG thing, and it's being made by a couple of people who used to work at Nexon. And they were apparently working on a game at Nexon that was called P3 Project. P3 Project was scrapped, and it was never actually released. And then at some point, these two guys left Nexon, started up their own company called Iron Mace, and started working on this game. Nexon says that they developed this while they were at Nexon and essentially stole the assets in the project and then left and just decided to make it on their own outside of Nexon. Apparently they have already been through one independent audit of their resources where they're like, well, we bought all this shit off of the Unreal store and like we built all the code from the ground up.
Yeah.
But Nexon, being, them, has started like filing complaints against them in court in Korea to attempt to get this whole thing shut down.
It's so dumb.
Yes. I mean, on the one hand, like I always like to give, it's possible that Digerati did everything right and that fucking 12-year-old kid is just being a jerk.
That one I'm willing to side on both.
It's possible that those developers of that Russian game, like Code, totally ripped off that guy's thing, and it's totally possible that these guys at Nexon used company resources to prototype their game and then decided to go out into the world and do it themselves. However, I'm always more inclined to just like give game developers the benefit of the doubt. Unless there's the guys that made that Day After Tomorrow game. In that case, I don't think those guys say.
I forgot about that. Oh, shit.
So, yeah.
That's so fucking funny.
Mm-hmm. In other lawsuit news, Bungie won their lawsuit against those cheatmaker guys that we talked about like 6, 8
that was
months
a while
ago.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very just like, we don't have any control over that. And you're like, you dumb motherfuckers.
Well, no, because remember it was a whole thing where they sued them for like copyright infringement because they were using like the Destiny name and like assets.
Yeah.
And then they countersued them saying that Bungie was like data mining them and spying on them and like it was a whole thing. It constantly makes me wonder how much money these guys are making with the aimbot stuff.
They have to be making a good chunk of money.
Apparently
To
so.
want to countersue the developers of the game they're making the sheets for.
Exactly, especially now that Bungie is owned by Sony. But apparently they got a ruling last week and they got $4.3 million. So
It's a lot of Destiny emotes.
it's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, they can take a bunch of those skins out of the game. They're just like, we don't even need this anymore.
We don't need any of this shit.
You just have it for free.
All the Carlton moves.
Apparently it was one of those ones though where they did it like on a per violation basis. So they got $2,500 per violation at 102 violations for $255,000, and then they sold 1,000 cheats that then were they got a per cheat payout that ended up being $3.4 million.
That's so many.
Yeah.
And then it says here they got him for breach of contract for terms and conditions.
Oh yeah. Because one of the things that they talked about was that this is one of those things that nobody ever thinks about before. But I follow a few like controversial YouTube and Twitch people, right? And some people on Twitter where it's like, okay, if they find out you're a cheater and then they ban you, and then you come back, you buy like you change your screen name or you change your IP address or whatever, that is ban evasion, which is against the terms and conditions. And so like you can technically be fined for that as well. So all told, yeah, I'm glad. I think cheaters, I don't get it. I think it's just rotten hell. Like, how could you cheat and then be like, I did a thing, and it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't do shit.
I get cheating for like single player type things because you just want to feel like invincible and stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't understand cheating for like multiplayer things in general.
Yes,
to be like, I'm the best at this game. You're like, no,
you're not.
Just
you're literally not.
Like you're literally cheating at this entire thing to be like, look all the headshots I got. You're like, no,
you didn't get shit. You didn't get shit.
You're just staring at a screen that's doing everything for you.
Yep.
I don't know, it's so stupid.
There was another, what was it? Oh, we'll get to it in a minute. Yeah, there's another one that it was a thing that I've never fucking heard of before that I was like kind of fascinated by. Anyway, we had some cheater stories because one of the other things that happened was Valve set a honeypot trap and banned 40,000 Dota 2 accounts.
Oh, Jesus.
Apparently they did an update that like was designed that if you did one of the exploits that they were talking about, it would open up like an area that literally no user that was playing the game would ever be able to see. And so anybody whose avatar then walked into that area got their account flagged and they like let it go for a little while. And then last week, apparently they were just like, bam, they like hit the ban hammer.
That's amazing.
Banned 40,000 accounts simultaneously.
Oh, Jesus.
I have to wonder how no, I can't. People want to win, and they're little sucky babies, and if they can't win, they cry and they poop in their diapers. So they've got to figure out a way to win, and the way to win is not getting better. It's like, yeah.
It depends on what the exploit does is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of times where people will find an exploit in a game and then just like, go to town with it. But yeah, the issue is that again, this is still a multiplayer game, and that's just kind of an issue with it. I feel like that's more like if you knew the exploit was there, just fix the exploit. I think is a better thing that they could have done in that instance.
I don't know. I say get rid of the cheaters. Get them out of here. Get them out of my game.
It's the way they did it that's really creative, though. Yep. I think is what's interesting about it.
But we're not done with the cheat trade just yet.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ubisoft punished 19,000 accounts of Rainbow Six Siege that were doing exploits.
What the fuck?
The question here is they think that this might have been a duping bug, which I could definitely see them because like they sell those skins.
Yeah.
And like, you don't get to just like...
That's against every term and service.
dupe a sold skin and then like give it to your buddy or whatever. But yeah, apparently they've identified like a whole bunch of accounts that were doing some. The thing is that they didn't say what it was, so people have only to
It's to
speculate.
keep people from trying it.
Yes.
Because they can't get everybody.
Yes, but this is the one that I was reading that talked about that was really interesting, where they're talking about this thing. Okay, this is called a mousetrap. And apparently there's a thing where you hook a mouse and a keyboard up to your console through an adapter that like introduces static into your inputs, because servers don't want you, a mouse and keyboard player, playing against somebody using a controller.
Yeah.
So what it does, and you can tell when people are using a mouse and a keyboard because of the way that the inputs come in is different than the way that analog sticks work, right?
Yeah.
And so apparently this device is like a third-party device you can plug a mouse and a keyboard into that then introduces like the same, it tries to mask the signal so that it looks like a controller signal so that you don't get flagged as playing with a mouse and keyboard. And again, I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Why?
Like,
why is this a thing?
what are you doing?
You're not making any money off of this, so what's the point of it other than being a weirdo?
People are just weirdos, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I don't understand.
it's very strange. It's a very strange thing, and I literally don't know what to tell you. Let's see. From there, we got the news last week that Blumhouse is going to be getting into the video game business.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, the producer for a lot of their current stuff. Apparently, Blumhouse's whole, I didn't know this, their whole ethos, right, is that they just like, your movie cannot be above a certain budget. Like, it all has to be small budget. And
That's
then,
pretty
like,
much, their whole thing, yeah.
And then so when they do get one that hits, then the return on investment is like huge.
That's why most of them are horror movies, because horror movies are cheaper to make than in a lot of other stuff.
Yep. They did Paranormal Activity and Insidious, The Purge. But yeah, they're looking for independent developers to make games. And I think that's actually a really cool move.
That's a really great move, because the investments in some of the indie game world is a lot smaller than it sounds for a lot of places. It's still higher than it sounds as well. But it's the exact sort of thing that company has done in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Also, I didn't know this, but apparently Blumhouse is merging with James Wan's company.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's like, okay, all right, cool. Yeah. But yeah, that's good. I hope that we see more indie, I especially feel like it would be a good time, like the horror game sector. Oh my God. It's like horror movies where you have something that's just like a relatively decent concept that doesn't even have to have super good graphics, and everybody's just like, oh, like buy the shit out of it.
They love that shit.
Look at Five Nights at Freddy's, man.
Like a game where you accidentally throw a pizza out of a door.
Right.
And then you can't finish it.
I still want to know what happened with that one with the crazy Muppets that come after you.
Oh yeah, I want to see where that goes.
Tess and I played the demo for that. My Friendly Neighborhood or whatever it was.
That was awesome.
I loved that. I loved it.
Shoot letters at him.
Mm-hmm.
Shit was great.
Let's see. Speaking of horror, we found out that RE4 Remake's VR mode is going to be free DLC for the game when it eventually comes out.
That's fun.
Yeah, and apparently it is just getting started being worked on. Like,
that's an interesting idea.
But they wanted to finish the game first before they put that in there. But
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like a reskin version of the current VR one.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Can you smoosh them together? How does code work? Can you just copy all of the RE4 code and just paste it over the RE4 remake code?
Yeah.
And just don't replace.
You put you put find all words that say Leon, and you put Leon remake, and it replaces it.
Okay.
That's exactly how that works.
Okay. Excellent. That shouldn't take very long. I feel like it should take very long.
It takes 5 seconds.
Take a weekend, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see. In other update news, apparently Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers edition was a re-release of Chrono Cross that came out, I believe, last year.
Yeah, it came out a while back.
And was pretty terrible. But apparently, the development team is going to be attempting to fix some of it. So
that's good.
One of the biggest problems that they had was that everything looked kind of muddy. But then you'd have like these super high resolution sprites on top of like PSX backgrounds.
It's one of those issues.
Yeah. So apparently they're looking into making changes and fixing some bugs and frame rate improvements. Nothing specific about graphics, but we can all hope. We can all dare to dream for a better tomorrow. So, yeah. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and jump into.
Just so poetic for Chrono Cross of all things.
We're gonna jump into the trailers. Michael, it's 2023. They're still fucking updating No Man's Sky.
Stop and just make another one, guys. Make money off of these things.
Yes, the fractal update for No Man's Sky, which has
they can't be making anybody off of this at this point.
I don't know. Maybe Sony just keeps paying them because it's PSVR stuff.
That's true, yeah.
Because this update was kind of touted for PSVR 2. It's got a new skimmer that you can use to run along the land. It got like robot pals, and then apparently there's like a new kind of multiplayer thing where you have like it's like a solar system that's been like hollowed out, and you've got to kind of build it back up from scratch with like friends and stuff.
That's interesting.
Which is pretty cool. And some graphical updates, as well as a few other quality of life things. This kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that I think this is one of the only games that is migrating from PSVR to PSVR 2.
As far as I know, yeah. Because a lot of the ones just outright just don't work on it.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard of them porting any of them so far.
Yeah. So, yeah. Apparently those guys are still fucking around with No Man's Sky.
I'm always impressed by how far they've gone with it.
Me too.
Like, the whole internet was mean to them, and they're like, I'll show you. And then they kept showing us, and we're like, stop. I get it.
You're forgiven, for God's sake.
You're forgiven. Let me give you money again.
Yeah.
Like, never.
Let's see. We also got a new Tekken trailer.
Yeah.
Michael, I put this in here just for you. Kazuya's out here.
Shows up and just beats up Jin for 2 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's fucking glorious.
Let me ask you a question. Do we have like Demon Kazuya was a thing already?
Yeah, Demon Kazuya has been a thing since the second Tekken.
Okay.
He used to be a separate character from normal Kazuya. He was just called Devil Kazuya.
With like the wings and the purple face and all that stuff?
Yeah, he was like a pure purple. Like he looked like a pure purple devil like stereotype character, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like he didn't have clothes on or anything. It was just like literally like a purple devil dude with Kazuya's face on it.
He's kind of a one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater.
He kind of is.
He did cut off one of those horns, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, that's why he's always still purple, because it was like that's what he looked like then. And then with Jin, they went the edgy 2000s route,
right?
Where he's just a dude with devil horns and angel wings.
Yeah.
And they've really like entered the fact that now it's one character solely now, and I think that's pretty cool.
This team sure does like their lighting effects.
Goddamn, do they do ever? And this stage is beautiful.
This New
with
York
all these
stage.
lighting effects.
Yep, with all this neon and stuff.
And the super that he does at the end is just chef's kiss, man. It's just gorgeous.
I think there might be such a thing as too many lighting effects.
There is. There was that one game we played where we didn't know what was going on. It was Forspoken, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the fuck was going on in Forspoken.
Too many particles. Yeah. No, this is great. I'm glad that you Tekken fans are getting a big old... You're getting like a new Tekken and a new Street Fighter. And
it's a glorious time.
All kinds of good stuff.
Eventually we're supposed to get the next-gen release of Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Oh, that's true, yeah. What about Smash Brothers? When there's a new Smash Brothers for people to obsess about for 20 years?
I think the what is the guy's name? The guy who made Kirby. I think he's all tired out. He's tired of getting yelled at.
Yeah,
for putting too many Fire Emblem characters into it. There's never enough Fire Emblem characters.
Never enough
Smash Brothers.
They put fucking Steve from Minecraft in that game.
They
what
did.
the fuck? Yeah. Let's see. After that, we got another brief teaser for Redfall. This came from that IGN Fan Fest that kind of showed off. This was like less of a gameplay walkthrough and more of kind of like a sizzle teaser showing off, kind of action adventure. This actually makes the game look a lot more like just a single player action game. And
that's the thing I kind of like about Redfall is that they've done a really good job at making the story content seem like something that you could just do by yourself.
Yeah,
and just be done with the game.
I really hope that's the case. I really, really do. Because I really would like to play it. Because here they're showing off a little bit more of the kind of like, the weird like nether realm thing, the weird like
the
limbo
vampire dimension stuff.
Yeah. They're showing a lot of the environments, what looks like in the real world, and then also in that weird dimension. And this giant dollhouse open up. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, man.
A lot of cool stuff. If only we could be Jesse Rentier. Just show up there and punch vampires to death.
Oh, my God.
God, I'd love that.
Jesse Rentier he's the bomb.
He's the best.
Every time I see RI though in that game, I keep thinking it's from Rhode Island.
I thought that the first time until I finally saw that it was written to your institute.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've just been thinking wrong this whole time.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really hoping that this doesn't end up being one that like they say you could play it single player, but it's really just a multiplayer game. And if you play it single player, you only get like 80% of the actual experience.
Yeah, you'll play like for like 3 hours and then it's done.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Like I've seen too many games where that happens.
Yep. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. From there, we got this is interesting. We got a really brief combat overview trailer for Witchfire, which is one of those. It's the game from some of the guys that made Bulletstorm, right?
Yeah. Was that what we were saying, that all the cool guys went to Witchfire?
Yep. So this is actually interesting because they talk about like the way that the guns work and how like by default it's like, okay, here's a regular gun and it's just a gun, but like they use a pistol for this example, but then like, but here's how you use it with the witch powers in the game, and in this way it's like the level 1 is like, okay, every time you get a critical hit, it builds like a counter, and then when you reload, you get that many. However many critical hits you got before you reloaded as special bullets that do like super damage.
Oh, that's fucking rad.
Yeah. And then like level 2 like lets you like lets you like basically bank more, and it talks about how like the more you bank, the more powerful each one of the critical bullets are. And then they also show that like apparently all the guns in the game have like 3 levels, and like for this one I think the 3rd level was that body shots counted as the first body shot counted as critical as well. So they didn't have to just all be headshots. It's a really cool little thing. Like I kind of love, like, this is something cool. I like this.
Yeah,
this is interesting.
This is the exact type of game that this is the exact type of shooter that I'm interested in, when it's not just a straightforward one.
Yes. Where it's got, where it's not just a guy with a machine gun.
Yeah. It's a guy with a machine gun that also shoots locusts.
Yes.
That kind of dumb shit.
So yeah, that's it's cool. And they show a little bit in the kind of sizzle about like there's all kinds of different ways that different guns operate. Oh yeah, the 3rd level also gives you freeze, so it freezes the guys.
This game looks great.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I'm really excited about this one.
It looks pretty good. Yeah. Good stuff. Let's see. From there, we got the overview trailer for Octopath Traveler 2. To explain to you how Octopath Traveler 2 works, Michael.
Yeah. You go on paths, and you fight Octo Moms or whatever.
Nobody even knows what an Octo Mom is. I know what an Octo Dad is.
Yes.
The Dadliest Catch. God, I love that game.
That game is so good.
Yeah, so it kind of shows that this is going to be similar to the first one. It's kind of funny because I was looking at buying this the other day, and I'm like, it's on the Switch, and it's on the PlayStation 4, and it's on the PlayStation 5. And I was like, what does it do differently on the PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation 4? Like,
they seem load faster.
Yeah, but other than that, like,
I don't know. That's all I can think of.
They do show in here, I think it's kind of cool how there's like a day-night cycle now.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things about this version, is that there's different things you can do depending on the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the path.
Yep. The main thing I'm curious about is to know whether it's whether the story is better than the first one, because I eventually just petered out on the story.
That's what happened to a lot of people, and even when it ended, they're like, I don't think that really culminated into anything.
Yeah. But yeah, looks just as good as the first one. I'm glad that Square Enix is not just sticking to their real-time RPG combat guns.
Yeah, I am happy that these games still very much exist. It's just it's whether or not you want. It all involves the name. Some people just want the whole, like, they want the name on their game, even though like that's not really what you want nowadays.
I'll tell you what I want for them to put Bravely Second on the PlayStation.
That'd be cool,
as opposed to just the Switch. I think it's just on the Switch right now.
As far as I know, it is, but I haven't checked in a while.
But yep. Let's see. We got the launch trailer for Like a Dragon Ishin.
Yeah, buddy.
Which might be the game that finally gets me to stop playing Hitman, because I realized that the last Hitman or the last Yakuza game that I played was Like a Dragon.
Yeah, the actual Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
Or not the actual, you know what I mean?
And that, like, I played all the way through that. I played all the way through Yakuza 6. I played all the way through Yakuza 0. I played all the way through 5, I think. I played a lot of the Yakuza games all the way to the end.
It's an amazing series.
And I just watched this trailer and I'm reminded of all the dumb shit. I'm also reminded how fucking violent Yakuza games can be because people are getting fucking hacked. There's blood coming off of them. There's like a one part of this where like this guy gets slashed in front of this lady and she's got a big slap of blood over her face. But then also it shows Kiryu Kazama shoot a guy with a cannon. And I'm like,
a fireworks cannon, by the way.
Hey, it's fine with me, baby.
The best thing about Yakuza though is that you can also do this to like a lot of just random people.
Yeah.
And then they just get up and walk away.
Also, I'm fine with Kiryu Kazama's story being over, but I really missed Goro Majima.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
He was in the last one a little bit, but not enough for my taste, whereas he looks like he's going to be the psycho crazy man that he is normally, and I want to see it. I want to play it. I love these guys.
I really hope this game does well.
Yeah. I physically bought this game.
I saw.
This is the first PS5. Well, it's mostly just because of the timing, because I didn't need it until the weekend. I tried to order Octopath Traveler 2 off of Amazon. That game comes out, we're recording this on Thursday. That game comes out tomorrow on Friday. And they were like, yeah, we'll deliver it on Tuesday of next week. And I was like, the fuck you will? I'll buy it digitally if that's the case.
Yeah, that's fucking strange. But yeah, that's the first one, for that physical one you've gotten in a very long time.
Outside of launch. Well, I wanted to start getting more physical games so I could loan them to people. I feel bad. That used to be one of the ways I convince people to come to my house. Is like, oh, you can take whatever game you want. They're now like, it's great. So anything before 2019 you've got in your house?
Now you just have a bunch of anime games that you can't do anything with on your PlayStation's data.
Yep. Damn straight. At least on Steam I can refund those bitches.
True.
Yeah. We got a brief showcase for the Expanse game. Remember, that's a thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This was like kind of a gameplay walkthrough thing where they showed a lot of like you're going to be able to move around like in 0G and kind of float between places. It's got a lot more gameplay than is normally in Telltale games. And then they show a kind of a little choice sequence where it's like this guy got trapped by a cargo container in your scavengers, and the choice is, do you eject the supplies in order to save his leg, or do you cut off his leg and keep the supplies?
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
he'll remember that.
He will remember that. He will very much remember that. It does, though. It looks really nice for a Telltale game. Like, it's got better lighting and like better character models and like more detail than I feel like I've seen in a lot of Telltale's games.
Well, they sort of, not half-assed, but they sort of started making everything very samey with their character movements towards the end there. And I think a lot of that came down to the money issues that was going on, because they're spending a lot of money on licensing, but not a lot of money on actually making the games they licensed. And so I think they finally, because somebody else bought them at this point, so they finally are adding more money into the actual development this time.
Yeah. I guess I'm just curious to know if the Expanse is going to be enough of a draw to get people in there.
It's an interesting one to be doing one for, but so was all the Wolf Among Us and stuff. So
that's true. Yeah, who could have known that Wolf Among Us would have such a big following?
Yeah, the Jurassic Park one was terrible.
Yeah. I often wonder what's happening with that other team that's making the Star Trek one. That looks just like a Star Trek game. Because that
game looks pretty cool.
For years have been curious about why there isn't a Star Trek game. But anyway, yeah, go watch the whole thing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking. Let's see. We got some crazy ones over here. We got a game, announcement of a game called Killer Frequency. This is my one off the wall thing.
Okay.
Apparently, this was a development from a game that was either like a game jam or an itch.io game or whatever. Somebody in the comments was talking about it, where you play as like a shock jock DJ, where there's like a serial killer that is killing the people that listen to your show.
Oh.
And so then they call in, and you're trying to like guide them through stuff. I think at the beginning, Tessa actually was the one who turned me on to this one. But I think at the beginning, Tessa thought that this was going to be like what was that game where you use the microphone to control a person?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but when I actually looked at this trailer,
that Let's Go Pikachu?
Yes,
I forgot what that Pikachu game was actually called.
I think it's actually you're just choosing from different dialogue options that you don't actually get to hook up a microphone and directly say. Because I really wanted to do that. I wanted to be the wacky morning DJ telling people how to get away from the killers.
Just you still have to choose it.
That's true. But it looks kind of cool. It's kind of different.
See, the way you defeat the serial killer is you find the brown noise, and then go from there.
You just start playing What's New Pussycat on repeat. And eventually they're just going to go crazy.
You got to play I Got a New Pair of Roller Skates.
Oh, God.
More power to you, whoever got that.
Let's see. Yeah, so that looks pretty cool. I don't think it has like a full-on release date or anything yet. It's just an announcement. Let's see. We also got a brief gameplay trailer for Jump Light Odyssey. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Where we actually get to see what the game looks like as opposed to just this anime cutscene. This is that game where you play as basically the princess from Voltron, and you've got like the last ship full of your people, and you're running away from the evil fucking crazy guys across the galaxy. And it looks an awful lot like, I don't know, like a Starship Manager or like a just one of those like Space Manager games.
Yeah, no, of course. And
Space Station Managers.
There's a lot of, it looks like a lot of those types of games that we've played over the years, like even 2 Point Campus.
Yeah.
That kind of look as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm not the biggest fan of how heavy the cell shading lines are on the characters.
That's fair.
But I do like the part where they ejected a bunch of people out into space. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this one works out. Also, there's like this pig that is prominently featured throughout this trailer.
But I love that last shot of like the people like having fun and there's just dead people floating outside.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. I hope it works out well.
I hope so too.
We'll see what happens. So let's see. Here's a crazy one. Did you see this trailer for Terra Nil?
No.
So Terra Nil is a new game coming from Devolver pretty soon that is like a environmental reclamation game where you're trying to build facilities to basically rejuvenate the environment with using as few resources as possible. So it's the idea that like the environment's all fucked up and you're trying to build these kind of futuristic farms and stuff to rejuvenate trees and marshes and swamps and stuff like that. And it's got a really super chill soundtrack. Michael hasn't seen this yet, but
no, yeah, I haven't heard it. So
it's got a really kind of cool art style. But guess who's making this?
Who?
Free Lives.
Seriously?
Yeah. This is from the guys that made Gorn and Broforce and like
that's fucking crazy.
Angerfoot. This is like the least genital jousting for God's sake. And this is just like this very, very chill, laid back game that's coming in March.
This is the one guy in the corner who's just like, what if we did something not crazy? And they're like, what the fuck did you say? And he's like, look at this. And they're like, I guess. And they gave him some money and then he went from there.
I bet those Devolver guys will pay for it. They'll pay for whatever.
Yeah. But there's probably one guy who kept trying to sneak in like a bro into it.
The thing is that so far Free Lives have been exceptionally good at demonstrating that they know how to make a game fun.
Yeah.
Like,
no matter what it is, they've done a really good job at still making it fun.
Like genital jousting should not have been as fun as it was.
It should not have worked in both fun and its weird ass story mode that it did.
True.
All of that stuff worked. Broforce should not have worked.
True. So yeah, I trust them to. They've got a lot of cachet in my book. Like I'm willing to give it a shot. So yeah, March 28th, that's coming out. Let's see. Just about done here. That's the same thing. We got a release window for a few different games. One of those being, let's see. Let's just open all these and then I can stop. Layers of Fear. So
those fears are getting layered.
Layers of Fear is has like a full release like window basically.
Yeah, that's been the name of the game lately.
Yeah, not like a specific date, which is fine because then if you have to delay it by 2 weeks, you don't have to fucking tell me about it.
It's only weird if you have to delay it outside of the window.
Yes, which looks pretty good. Actually, I thought this was originally called Layers of Fears.
I thought it was too, but it must be just layers. That. It might have just because I thought because I think the other ones are just called Layer of Fear. but I don't know. I could have sworn it was, but who knows?
I think the other one was called Layers of Fear.
I don't know. That's the thing. I thought it was Layer of Fears 2. There were Layers of Fears 2.
Well, Layers of Fear 2 actually already happened.
No, I mean fear, like the S on it. The 2 is me saying me as well.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. All right. Yeah, I'm too tired for this. The coffee's wearing off. Anyway, I can't wait to play this one.
I knew that was going to happen when I said it as well.
Unreal Engine 5 looks nice. June of this year. Can't wait to see it. I'll try it. Even though
But who's on first, Jeff?
I keep playing Bloober Team games and I keep being disappointed by them, but now I'm going to keep trying.
They make good trailers. I'll give them that.
Oh, man, I'm going to keep trying. We also got a launch window for Liza P, as well as the most Bloodborne trailer yet.
Yeah, holy shit.
Did you watch this trailer?
Because that was one of the stories I got to write.
Yeah.
Because boy, howdy.
Yeah, this one is all just like voiceover and weird like imagery and a lot of cryptic stuff along with some kind of classical music, and it's like, goddamn. I mean, like, I'm not complaining that you guys want to make your own Bloodborne, but like you really are just doing it. Like,
yeah, it's just Bloodborne with a Pinocchio theme. And I don't know if I hate that or not yet.
I don't know. I haven't given it a try yet. But yeah, this one is, what is it, August?
Yes, August of this year is all they gave.
Yep.
But it's supposed to have a lot of stuff going on for it, so here's hoping this game turns out good.
I sure hope so. I don't want any game to not be good.
My games of highly anticipated this year have been giving diminishing returns.
Yeah. What did you actually end up trying out Atomic Heart on your own?
I've not yet. But but there was not a story, but there was a post on Reddit where he's like, all of the ones I had on my wish list this year have all failed.
Which one was were those?
That one, Forspoken.
Oh yeah.
And there was one other one that came out like really early on in the year, and I just can't remember what it was.
Okay.
But yeah, it was one of those ones where it's just like, man, you poor bastard.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like kind of well, speaking of games that are not by the time you read this, the Venom DLC will be out for Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Yes.
Did you play this one yet, Michael?
Well, I haven't touched any of the DLCs yet because I'm thinking of just waiting until they're all out and then maybe just doing a new game plus.
Okay.
Because it adds all of them into it and adds new story stuff as well.
Yeah. There's like 3 different Venom missions that are in there.
Yeah, because there's new Deadpool stuff with new enemies, and then there's new Venom stuff with new enemies, and as well as more of Mephisto, who shows up later in the game. Because for this to probably get unlocked for players, you probably don't have to go that far into it. Probably.
Yeah.
At least that's what my
Venom's
thoughts are.
Venom's like the first guy.
Yeah, you finish him off in the first chapter.
Yeah,
and then because this is like what 3 or 4 chapters if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
I did finish it, so yeah, it's like 3 or 4 chapters, but it's a really long game if you make it last long.
Yeah,
but they put a lot of work into these DLCs, and I'm really happy with that.
What's in the what's this? Oh, it's a new upgrade.
There's a new upgrade for the Abbey. I looked into it. Apparently,
is that Eddie fucking Brock?
Yeah, Eddie Brock is in the game.
Oh my god, his eyebrows. Michael has eyebrows. Does the symbiote not know how to wax?
No, it does not.
Oh my god. Okay.
He also wears tank tops. But yeah, apparently the Abbey upgrade, what it does is that you remember how when you would play a mission and it would have and sometimes it would have a like a modifier that would give you more stuff. Like if you do X, Y, and Z, you get 20% more credits or something.
Right.
You could the Abbey upgrade lets you like assign those to just a mission.
Oh.
So you could so instead of just looking at the list you have and going, I'll choose that one because this one will give me the most, or this one will give me an artifact that I can use.
Yeah.
But you can actually just be like, I want this mission to be able to do this. I'm going to pay this many credits or whatever, most likely, to add that modifier to it.
Interesting.
Instead of just raising, the difficulty.
Okay.
Which is a great idea because there was a lot of times where I was like, I want to do this mission, but I also don't want to just but it doesn't give me anything I want out of it other than I have to use this character in it.
Yeah.
And then so I end up doing a different one. So yeah, that will help with that.
Yeah. Let's see. A couple more things and then we're done. Did you know that there was a Bill and Ted collection that was released last week?
There was a what?
Yeah. It was Bill and Ted's Retro Collection on the PS5, PS4, and Switch for $10 American that had Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure and Bill and Ted's Excellent Game Boy Adventure, A Bogus Journey.
What the fuck?
Yep.
I didn't even know these games existed. I should have.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know the Game Boy one existed. I knew the Nintendo one did.
Yeah. They've never been like super good. They're
Well,
like
that's the thing about a lot of those games is they weren't like the Back to the Future ones is a great example.
Oh
of that.
yeah.
That first one has nothing to do with Back to the Future.
Yep.
And the second one is just difficult.
Yeah. So not exactly like the greatest in the world, but for $10, I mean, what
For $10, that's not the worst thing.
What are you getting?
These games weren't exactly like.
Is that Abraham Lincoln?
I think it was. Yeah, these games weren't exactly like a lot of these old licensed games were not exactly the best. Some of them are fondly remembered, like say the Batman Nintendo one.
Yeah,
but some of them, of course, are terribly remembered, like that first Back to the Future one that I mentioned,
right?
Or even like some of the even weirder ones where it's like, what is this even about?
Yeah,
like the Beetlejuice one. Like a lot of weird shit.
Fester's Quest.
That one was about 50-50.
I liked Fester's Quest.
I liked that game a lot, but it was very difficult.
Anyway, yeah, that came out. That's the good news. The bad news is that apparently the original Angry Birds, there were two versions of the original Angry Birds that were on the store. One of them was the one that was supported by microtransactions, and one of them was the one where you just buy Angry Birds. Apparently, Rovio took down the one where you could just buy Angry Birds.
I saw the tweet about this, too.
And just left the one up where you can do the microtransactions. People are not happy about that.
Well, the reasons they gave was the fucking stupid thing.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you guys we're not making enough. It's affecting our other games because no one's buying microtransactions in our other games.
Right.
Because
you
like,
just bought that one game and now you're just playing that one game.
Yeah, forever.
But we want you to keep giving us $3.
And they said they're going to change the name of it too on your app as well. And I was like, what the fuck, guys?
It's being called Red's First Flight.
Yeah. Just asinine fucking decision making.
Absolutely. So, yeah, pretty sure that, today, the day we're recording this is the last day. So if you didn't already get it, it's already gone.
It's already gone.
I don't know. I liked Angry Birds. I liked the one better, though, where you were the pigs and you got to make the weird trucks or whatever, like the weird Banjo-Kazooie things.
Also, it had a legitimately fun little set of movies that they made for them.
Yeah?
Like, they're not like the best movies, but they were decent. Like decent little kid movies.
I'm not going to watch them.
I had to watch the second one for one of us, and then I watched the first one to see, and it was okay.
Let's see.
From there, nothing to write home about.
We pretty much got a confirmation that Lego Zelda is on the way.
Yes,
because there was a YouTube channel that was basically reporting on some leaks, and then Lego immediately DMCA'd them.
Lego doesn't fuck around.
No. So that's the thing is that
I bet you a bunch of Lego lawyers showed up his house and threw a bunch of Lego pieces on the ground and said, walk.
Yeah. So apparently there's going to be a big Great Deku Tree Lego set.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. Which, okay, cool.
Yeah, Nintendo's has a great relationship with Lego right now. Mm-hmm. And so this was only a matter of time, I felt. But I hope they get even more stuff on there. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
I would love an F-Zero machine. Any of the F-Zero machines would be great.
I just wish that I could buy some of. I just wish they weren't so expensive.
That's the issue.
I really like the one with the TV and the NES and the controller and all that stuff.
I have a friend who has one of those, and it's really cool.
Yeah, or the big block, the big question block.
Yeah,
that little
the one was way more expensive than I anticipated.
Yep.
I saw that Millennium Falcon. That's like almost $900. Mm-hmm. That was like, holy shit.
I don't think these are
super detailed.
Yeah. Anyway,
people were all excited because it was on sale for like $750, and I was like, "That's still a lot of money, guys.
It's too much."
I bought a whole arcade machine for $100 less than that.
Too much. You buy a whole PlayStation and some games for that much.
Dude, holy shit.
Let's see. Apparently, the RE4 remake devs, wanted to make a chainsaw controller.
Oh my god!
But they ran out of time. So, for anybody that doesn't know, on the PS2, there was a limited edition chainsaw controller that you could use. Use it for anything.
My cousin still has that, I think. Last I heard.
What's that?
My cousin, he was one of those guys who'd buy everything.
Oh yeah,
and I think he has one of those.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it was a really terrible controller.
Yeah.
The fact that they even made it was really funny.
It looks like it.
I'm hoping somebody's beaten Dark Souls on it already.
Oh, almost certainly. And last but not least, Michael, I don't know, there wasn't a lot of like fun stuff this week, but I thought you might like this. Apparently, there is a modder out there called Die Forever that came out with a specific randomizer for games that run on the quote-unquote build engine. And so this is Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, Shadow Warrior, a few of those things. And apparently this randomizes like all the enemies and all the items. So it's not like a roguelike, but it just puts different enemies in different places. You can kind of set the difficulty, and for at least Duke Nukem and one other game, you can even randomize the level order. So just what level you go to next is just completely random. There's this whole trailer, and I don't really know how to feel about it because I don't remember which enemies were where and which levels of Duke Nukem.
It's all completely different because I know a lot of these levels like the back of my fucking head.
Which is why I wanted to show you, because I knew that you would know. So
yeah, there's like half of these enemies are not in a lot of these levels.
Yeah,
like that one exploding one that showed up when you opened that door. That's not in there at all.
So yeah, they show that you can kind of set a seed and set different random enemies and stuff, and then eventually it just spits out basically like an INI file that like changes everything.
That's so cool.
So yeah, you could just swap it up. You can play Duke Nukem 3D forever.
I kind of already do.
It's true. It is true. And that is the podcast. We only went 10 minutes over. I did cut 5 stories, but that's all right.
That's true.
They weren't the best stories in the world. Michael, tell the fine people of the internet where they can find you.
You can find me on bellalostsouls.net. I do their video game articles Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah. Go read Michael's articles. Give him some love.
Comment when you can.
I don't know why I said it like that. Anyway.
You can also follow them on Facebook too. They're on there too.
Okay.
That and the Twitters.
I will have to do that immediately. That's it. That's the podcast. There's so much. I'm so tired. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep. Everybody go to sleep. When I'm asleep, you all have to sleep too. So go to sleep. Well, it doesn't work. What if it's the middle of the day? I don't care. Go to sleep anyway.
Take a nap.
Go to sleep. When you wake up, watch the dojo. Or go to Patreon. I don't know. Bye.